Yes, a very good evening to all of you. So I hope I am audible to all of you. And now that you've decided to give me so much of your precious time, like, just 1.5 day before the exam, let's try to do a very comprehensive and a comprehensive revision. Okay. Right, so let's begin with our revision regarding ethics, and then also let's discuss what are the topics that we are going to look into and other chapters, like say maybe an automated environment or the public sector undertakings, NBFC, forensic audit, right? So that is how we will plan to cover. So just to begin with the session, as many other students are still joining in, let's begin with our discussion regarding the ethics. And ethics, let's come to the second schedule first, because generally we always have our eyes on the first schedule, right? So let's come to the second schedule to the Chartered Accountants Act, in which we have the part 1, 2 and 3, right? The part 1, which is regarding the professional misconduct for CA in practice, and the question which comes in the exam one could be regarding the breach of confidentiality for CA in practice. A chartered accountant in practice is deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he, right, discloses information acquired in the course of his professional engagement to any person other than the client so engaging him, unless required by any law for the time being enforced, or unless taken the prior consent of the client, right? So whichever clause of ethics, we always need to remember that there is a misconduct and then there are also the exceptions. Okay, right. Whenever a question regarding ethics, not whenever, always there is going to be a question regarding ethics in the exam. So क्या करना है, like क्या, what should be the format of writing that particular answer? One, we need to start with as per, right, clause 1 of part 1 of the second schedule, or the clause 1 of the part 1 of the first schedule, right, to the Chartered Accountants Act 1949. A chartered accountant in practice is deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he, and then after you write down the entire clause, then you can write down something which the council or the council of ICAI or something which related to that clause. Like if I talk about clause 2 part 1 of the first schedule, it is regarding pays or allows or agrees to pay or allow. There is a discussion regarding the sale of goodwill on the death of the sole proprietor, right? So you mentioned that particular point over there, right? So counsel or justification that why ICAI says that CA, before you accept an audit you should take an NOC, or regarding before doing accepting an audit you have to check the compliance with section 139 or percentage contingent basis fees. So something regarding that clause. Then after that you write down in the given case, right? So whatever has happened in the question, you mention it over here. Okay, so and so the chartered accountant has done, and then towards the end you write down the conclusion, right? Hence the chartered accountant is guilty of professional misconduct under this clause, or you say that the chartered accountant is not guilty of professional misconduct. There is no violation of the provisions of the Chartered Accountants Act and the regulations there too, right? If he is guilty, you can also mention regarding the board of discipline or the disciplinary committee, right? So now these next 1.5 days, whatever content, whatever concept है ना, I hope सब लोग मुझे ध्यान से सुन रहे हैं. Yes, I hope everybody is listening to me very attentively. ये 1.5 day में whatever you try to revise, whichever chapter you try to study it in such a manner that one, you grasp the technical words. Okay, what are the technical words which I need to write in my answer? And second, you also need to see which question, what answer I need to write. Just don't randomly keep on reading after reading or concept after concept, or just going through it. नहीं, ये concept है, this concept is there, but what type of question could be coming for this particular concept? When is this concept to be written as an answer in the exam is what you need to look upon. And start visualizing from today. What will you start visualizing from today? That you are doing proper time management of your paper, right? That your presentation of the paper is proper, that you're selecting the correct questions, that MCQ you have the confidence in solving the answers, right? So try to build that type of a positive mindset right from this particular moment. Okay, right. Then another question which comes from the second schedule part 1 nowadays, which is coming a lot, is regarding the clause 4 part 1 of the second schedule, right? I don't know how much is the lap between I speaking from here and you getting the message over there, but if you could tell me regarding, yes, what is clause 4 part 1 of the second schedule, so that I come to know आप लोग वहाँ पे हो. Yes, quickly we do a revision of ethics, and then after that we come to standards also, and lot of other chapters also waiting for us, right? So what is clause 4 part 1 of the second schedule regarding? right? So you're hearing me in Hindi, so yes, because you have to write the paper in English. That's why I would always be speaking in English. But yeah, I could speak in Hindi also. I thought it's a YouTube live, so probably students from different parts of the country could be attending or so. Okay, right. So substantial interest, right? So that's great. It's regarding the substantial interest. Expresses his opinion on the financial statements of any business or enterprise where he, his partner, his firm, or his relative as per AS 18 or Ind AS 24 has substantial interest. Expressing opinion on financial statements where substantial interest is involved, guilty of professional misconduct under clause 4 part 1 of the second schedule. However, what is allowed over there is information system work related to the employer would be allowed, right? So very important one, clause 4 part 1 of the second schedule. And there again there is a question coming nowadays, okay, I am a director of a company, then right now I cannot be appointed as an auditor of that company. I am a director in a company, can I be appointed as an auditor? No. I was a director of a company, now can I be appointed? I can be appointed, but after 2 years, right? So there is a cooling period over there of 2 years, right? So there is a cooling period of 2 years. Okay, right. Then another one where all that provident fund, superannuation fund, labor welfare fund, all those questions come over there, which is the clause 5 part 1 of the second schedule, which says fails to disclose the material fact known to him. When a CA, when he was doing the audit, he came to know about this fact, right? But which is not disclosed in the financial statements and where he is concerned with the financial statements in a professional capacity, right? So 512, which is regarding fails to disclose a material fact, right? Then another one where we also have a question in the RTP number 22, which is regarding the 712, right? The does not exercise. Yeah, why am I not able to hear you? No, you're not saying it? You're saying it. Okay. Right. Does not exercise due diligence or is grossly negligent in the conduct of his professional duties. So some chartered accountant, I think some CA Sheetal, what she did, she digital signatures she signed without checking the documents and so without checking, without verifying. If CA is signing, that means the CA is negligent in the conduct of his duties. Right. So 712 does not exercise due diligence or is grossly negligent in the conduct of the professional duties. Okay, right. Then after that over there we have 912. What is clause 9 part 1 of the second schedule? Fails to invite attention to material departure from the generally accepted audit procedures applicable to the circumstances, right? So CA issued an audit report, but UDIN was not mentioned in the report. Then CA is going to be guilty of professional misconduct under clause 9 part 1 of the second schedule. Okay, another one which comes a lot in the exam, because any of the guidelines, notifications of ICI not followed, then guilty of professional misconduct under clause 1 part 2 of the second schedule, right? What is clause 1 part 2 of the second schedule? Clause 1 part 2 second schedule contravenes any of the provisions of this act or the regulations made thereunder or the guidelines issued by the council, right? So registration of article, dummy article, stipend to article not paid on a monthly basis, or premium taken from the article, or any of the guidelines like CA is not maintaining proper books of account, cash book and ledger, or CA is accepted more than the allowed number of tax audits, that is more than 60 tax audits per CA. All of that would be guilty of professional misconduct under clause 1 part 2 of the second schedule. Okay, right, so that's just a quick look at few of the clauses of the second schedule. Now let's come to our all-time favorite, our so much, most of the time we study this one, that is the first schedule to the Chartered Accountants Act, in which we have the part 1, part 2, part 3 and the part 4, right? In part 1, which is regarding the professional misconduct for CA in practice, right, there we have the 211. What is 211? Right, the cut practice being done by the chartered accountant, that you give me the audit, I will give you 20% of my fees, I'll give you 30%, or the CA is paying to the article 1% over and above the stipend to overcome a financial crisis, right? So all that comes under 211, pays or allows, or agrees to pay or allow directly or indirectly any share, commission or brokerage in the fees or profits of his professional business to any person other than, right? So there are a few people with whom you are allowed to share, like ICI member, partner, retired partner, legal representative of a deceased partner, member of any other professional body, or the specified qualified persons. Right? Today, when you are revising, just check with yourself that am I remembering the wordings of the clause? Am I able to identify which clause is it? Do I have the content which is required to be written in the exam? Right? So that's what we need to check, because obviously we've studied all of this. Okay, then obviously coming to our most favorite one, right? 611. What is 611? Solicits, client or professional work, right? So asking, and not to solicit means to ask. So asking for client or professional work, right? So solicits client or professional work directly or indirectly by CAPIB. What is CAPIB? Circular, advertisement, personal communication, interview, or by any other means, right? However, there are two exceptions to 611. What is the first exception, right? Getting work within the CA fraternity, applying, requesting, inviting, securing work from another CA in practice, or responding to tenders or inquiries issued by various users of professional services, right? So that is clause 6, part 1 of the first schedule. What is it? Solicits client or professional work directly or indirectly. However, what is allowed within the CA fraternity allowed, and responding to tenders and inquiries also allowed, right? So again, there is a question which is there in the latest MTP RTP over there, which says that a chartered accountant, he is providing online coaching, right? So online coaching, it says if it comes under private tutorship, then general permission is given under 1111. But that online coaching he advertises on the social media platform. Oh, because he advertises it on the social media platform, that is why he is guilty of professional misconduct under 611. Right? So online coaching, it says it's private tutorship. So private tutorships comes under general permission of clause 11 part 1 first schedule. So that is why no guilty. But because he advertised that on the social media platform, it says it amounts to indirect solicitation. That is why guilty of professional misconduct under 611. Right. Then after 611, we have the 711. What is that? Advertises his professional attainments or professional attainments or services, or uses any other unapproved or wrong designations, right? So guilty of professional misconduct under 711, right? Lot of new content has come under 811, so we can more expect a question coming in the exam on clause 8 part 1 of the first schedule, right? So what is clause 8 part 1 first schedule? Right, we are just about to finish with our ethics discussion over here, right? So what is clause 8? Just a few more clauses for us to discuss. Yes, so what is clause 8 part 1 first schedule? It's something, but what is that something? That you need to tell me, right? Okay, right, so it's regarding the NOC, right? So accepts appointment as an auditor previously held by another chartered accountant without first communicating with him in writing, right? So accepts appointment as an auditor, right? So incoming auditor, you need to take an NOC, a no objection certificate from the outgoing auditor, right? In addition to that, incoming auditor, what you also need to do? Yes, our incoming auditor, very busy person. Why? Because what all he needs to do? One, he needs to take an NOC from the outgoing auditor, otherwise guilty of misconduct under 811. Second, incoming auditor, you have to check the compliance with section 139 to section 141 of the Companies Act, otherwise guilty under 911. Next, incoming auditor, you have to check if the outgoing auditor has resigned, right? If the outgoing auditor of the company has resigned, right, then in that case you need to check the IOC. What is IOC? The issues, objections and concerns which were raised by the outgoing auditor, and this reporting now is also required to be done under the clause 18 of CARO 2020, right? The resignation of statutory auditor, right? So where there has been any resignation of the auditors, what does it say? Whether the issues, objections and concerns of the auditor, have they been considered, of the outgoing auditor, have they been considered by the statutory auditors? And then obviously outgoing auditor has resigned, so you need to check whether the ADT3 has been filed with the company ROC and CNAG in case of government company within 30 days from the date of the resignation. And also incoming auditor, you need to check whether the undisputed audit fees of the previous auditor, have they been paid, right? Undisputed. If it is disputed, then it is okay if it is not paid. right? So undisputed audit fees of the previous auditor, have they been paid, right? They've made MCQs in the recent, if you look at the recent MTP, RTP MCQs, there's one MCQ regarding these clause 18 of Caro. What is this clause 18 over there? It is regarding the resignation of the statutory auditors. Then regarding undisputed audit fee. So if it is disputed and if it is outstanding, then it is okay. But if it is undisputed and it is outstanding and C accepted the audit, guilty. And guilty of professional misconduct. However, the provision does not apply to a sick unit. Sick unit which has been in existence for not less than 5 years and accumulated losses are equal to or more than the net worth. Okay, right. So 811, we are talking about clause 8, part 1 of the first schedule, accepts appointment as an auditor. Then it says incoming auditor, you send the request for NOC, you send the request by NOC by hand or by hand against written acknowledgement or under the yes, or by RPAD, that is registered post acknowledgement due, or you have a confirmation that you had sent it on the last known official email address or the email address which is registered with the institute. Again, they've asked an MCQ on this one. Okay, is it okay that I sent a request for NOC to the outgoing auditor on the last known official, the registered address with the email address with the institute or the last known official email address? And then we got an acknowledgement also from the outgoing auditor that yeah, you sent us a request for NOC. Will it be deemed to be delivered? Will there be a positive evidence of delivery in that case? Yes, there will be positive evidence of the delivery, right? It's sent on the last known official email address and you've got an acknowledgement that you had sent it by email. Then again, it says it will be a positive evidence of delivery. What if the premises are found locked? It says deemed to be delivered. What if the office does not exist? Again, it says deemed to be delivered. And again, there are questions over there regarding professional reasons for not accepting the audit. Okay, right. Then after that, coming to 1011. What is 1011? Right, it's not 1011. Okay, those of you who don't know how to read the clauses over here may think 1011. Nahi, it is 1011, right? So clause 10 of the part 1 of the first schedule. What does it say? Charges or offers to charge, accepts or offers to accept in respect of his professional employment any fees which are based on percentage of profit, है ना, कि percentage basis fees, or which are contingent upon the results of his finding or of such employment, except as permitted under the regulations under the Act. So percentage basis fees, contingent basis fees, guilty of professional misconduct under 1011. Right. However, what does it say? Except as permitted under the regulations under the Act. Right. So what are the exceptions under the regulations under the Act? Receiver, liquidator, auditor of a cooperative society, then valuer for the direct taxes and the duties, then certain management consultancy services, certain fundraising services, debt recovery services, cost optimization services, and any other service or audit as may be decided by the council. And under any other service or audit which might be decided by the council, there are two which have been given over there. One, acting as an IP, insolvency professional, and second, non-assurance services to non-audit client, that is NA to NA. What is NA to NA? Non-assurance services to the non-audit client. Okay, right. So very important in 1011, you should know the list of the exceptions over there. Right. Then 1111, again, lot of questions come in the exam regarding clause 11. Right. Part 1 of the first schedule. Now, which comes in your exam that you will come to know before me. But yeah, we see lot of questions coming in the exam from 1111 also, which is regarding the permission. Engages in any other business or occupation. There are some practicing CAs who apart from their practice would be doing everything else, right? So engages in any other business or occupation other than the profession of chartered accountancy unless permitted by the council so to engage. So you have to take the permission of the ICAI, the council, and provided that nothing contained herein shall disentitle a person from being a director. Okay, right. Then what does it say? There you have two lists: permission granted generally and the specific and prior approval of the council to be taken in each case, right? So general permission, like I told you, private tutorship or teaching with the institute, you know, coaching organization of the institute, or special executive magistrate. Nowadays that question is coming in the exam. Editorship of professional journal, it says permission granted generally. But then for others it says, like, you know, are you associated with any educational concern? right? From any educational institution or so, you're getting interest in an educational institution or so, or you want to do editorship of other than professional journal, or teach for other than institute related examination, or other than with the institute, then it requires the specific and the prior approval of the council in each case, right? 12.11, the last one in the part 1 of the first schedule, is regarding the signing, right? Okay, CA, only the CA in practice, only a partner of the firm should be signing on behalf of the firm. But what task of signing can be delegated? Okay, it's okay, you sign on my behalf. What task of signing or what work can be delegated to the employees, to the articles in the office? Routine work, yes, routine documents. That task of signing can be delegated. That, raising the bills to the client, then issuing a questionnaire being given to the client, or you've done the verification, cash verification. So it says this routine task of signing can be delegated. Okay, right? Then part 2 is regarding CA in service, not to share, not to accept, right? Then you have the part 3, in that where is there is an important one, clause 2, part 3 of the first schedule. Clause, where are you? You're only okay. I need to check with you, because we have no other time. I hope you're not looking here and there, right? So clause 2, part 3 of the first schedule. What is clause 2, part 3 of the first schedule? ICAI asking you for information, not providing, right? So does not supply the information called for, or does not comply with the requirements asked for by ICAI and or its functionaries, right? So not providing information to ICAI, guilty of professional misconduct under clause 2, part 3 of the first schedule. Okay, then coming to clause 4, part 4 of the first schedule, in which we have the 241, which is regarding the disrepute. And disrepute, in the opinion of the council, brings disrepute to the profession or to the institute as a result of his action, whether or not related to his professional work. Yes, so in the opinion of the council, brings disrepute to the profession or to the institute as a result of his action, whether or not related to his professional work, right? So bringing disrepute, that CA check got dishonored due to insufficiency of funds, or CA retained the books of account of the client without a reasonable cause, or CA failed to reply to the letter from some information which was asked from the police station, then all of this is guilty of other misconduct under clause 2 of the part 4 of the first schedule. Okay, right? Apart from that, we also have a question regarding section 27, which is regarding the maintenance of the branch offices, which says that branch office of a CA should be under the separate charge of a member of the institute, right? Separate charge of a member of the institute, right? However, no separate charge is required if the second office is located in the same city, same accommodation premises, or within 50 kilometers from the municipal limits of the city in which the first office is located, right? So that is regarding section 27. And again, in the recent MTP RTP, there is one question regarding a networking. I know that 3 CA firms, I'm just creating it an example, that 3 CA firms, they came together, say AB and company, and then say DE and company, right? Chartered accountants, and say PQ and company, and they came together and created a network, say in the name of ADP network. They came together and created a network in the name of ADP and network. Okay, and now what happened, right? ADP network or ADP affiliates or so. Now AB and company was doing the audit of A Limited for last 10 years, right? AB and company was doing the audit of A Limited for last 10 years. Okay, now cooling period, after 10 years, now they cannot do the audit for the next 5 years. And now it says, can DE and company be appointed as an auditor of A Limited for the next 5 years or so? No. It says if you are a part of the network firm and any one member of the network firm has to, whose term is over, even the other members of the network firm, even they need to follow the cooling period. Even the other members of the network firm, they need to follow the cooling period. So can DE and company be appointed as an auditor? No, they will not be appointed as an auditor, right? They will not be appointed as an auditor. Okay. Right. So that's a quick revision what we had regarding, yes. So like doing job somewhere and in charge of the branch office, right? So doing job somewhere and in charge, right? So a person who is in charge of the branch office, he has to be a CA, but he could be your partner or he could be an employee. So even non-practicing CA could be in charge of the branch, right? So that would be fair enough. Okay, right? So is that a little bit of revision which we have done regarding ethics? Now what you are going to do when you revise it at your end, you're going to check, okay, one, is it coming to your mind regarding what you say, okay, which particular clause is this question from? फिर एक बार clause ध्यान में आ गया, once the clause comes to your mind, then are you remembering the content of the clause? Then are you able to reach a conclusion, guilty or not guilty? What type of questions come for that particular clause, right? See all of that, right? So today you could do little bit of the ethics, then tomorrow again a little bit, and then later on, yes, so what you say, tomorrow morning, and then in the evening, right? So in 3 parts you could do little part of the ethics over there. Okay, right? I also want from all of you some chapters or some particular topics or so which you want me to discuss, so that it should not happen that towards the end of the class you come running and say, "Arey, ye topic, right? So you just mention so that it's in my mind, and then if possible, I'll try to incorporate it in my discussion in the class. Okay, right? So all of you there listening to me? Yes, everybody, all good? Right? Do you remember now? Okay, you see here, ma'am, the moment we start discussing ethics, we come to know okay, audit has started. Okay, right. Yes, okay, so there is a great demand for bank audit, then there is insurance, then there is peer review, then again bank audit, corporate governance, CARO, forensic. Okay, bank audit, fiscal, PSU. So all of you, you can just a committee put together, and due diligence standards, CARO. Okay. Right, so going concern and CARO. Okay, so now I think I've asked the right question now, because the what do you say, the right question being asked, that is why now so many what do you say, replies that I've received over there. Right, so anyways, now I'll keep a hold on looking at your points over there, your comments over there, otherwise my time would be going in reading your comments, right? So that we can do it later. So right now you've given me so much of homework or so much of classwork now, तो ठीक है, अभी वो ही कर लेते हैं, है ना? That's what we will do. Okay, right. So if I don't answer your query, don't have it in your mind. I always tell my students, I put a query, not replying. So don't worry, we'll look into it later. Okay, right. So now let's come to a few important topics. Like few students have also mentioned regarding CARO. We'll come to that later. But like a very important part of the discussion which we have is regarding the audit committee and corporate governance, wherein those are the amendments which we see in the RTP. Yes, in the RTP number 22 regarding the chapter of the audit committee and corporate governance, a possibility that we could be seeing a case study in the exam, an integrated case study in the exam from this particular chapter regarding whatever changes have come over there. Like when peer review had changed, so एक पूरा 10 mark का है ना, an entire 10 mark MCQ had come, that case study had come from peer review itself. So now probably the same could be happening with the chapter of audit committee, corporate governance. Right, so let's just have a quick look at what are the points over there. Right, complete attention. In case if you're not paying attention, in case if you are not listening to me carefully, you just happily just minimize or just close the YouTube channel which you've opened, and you open your book and sincerely study on your own. Okay, don't let me have the guilt that watching my channel but still wasted the time. So don't do that. If you're attending, attend sincerely. Wonderful. Right, so composition of the audit committee, we know okay, minimum 3 members, and at least 2/3 shall be independent directors. And if the company is having outstanding superior right equity shares, then all directors should be independent director. Chairperson of the committee should be an independent director. He shall be present at the AGM to answer shareholder query. Right, so what amendment has come over there? Okay, before that 2/3, they've just added the word at least over there. And okay, minimum 3 members and at least 2/3. Earlier they only said 2/3. Now they say at least 2/3 of the members shall be independent directors. Okay, this is an important one. Mandatory areas of review. Rather today I should not say what is important. Whatever will come in the exam, that's going to be important. But yeah, right, mandatory areas of review for the audit committee. Right, mandatory. Like some 4-5 times a question, case study or direct question has come on this one. Okay, audit committee members, when you come for the audit committee meeting, what are the mandatory areas that you're going to review. What they did, they came for the meeting and they only reviewed the monthly information system report. Array, how you can only review the monthly information system report? There are some mandatory areas of review by the audit committee. What are those mandatory areas of review by the audit committee? One, they have to review the MD&A, that is the management discussion and the analysis. Then now this point is deleted, so that's the amendment over there. Okay, related party transaction, that has been removed. Why? Because now there is a separate point regarding the related party transaction. Then the letter of weakness, right, which is issued by the statutory auditor. So SA 265, communicating deficiencies in internal control. Then you have the internal auditor's report. So this IAR is not independent auditor's report. This is independent auditor's report. Then along with the internal audit report, you also have the chief internal auditor, the CIA, the appointment, removal and terms of remuneration of the chief internal auditor, and you have the SOD, that is the statement of the deviations, right? So if you notice all three words over there, right, three alphabets over there: management discussion and analysis, letter of weakness, internal auditor's report, appointment, removal and terms of remuneration of the chief internal auditor, and the statement of deviations, right, the quarterly statement and the annual statement for funds other than the purpose it is stated in the offer document or prospectus, right? So mandatory areas of review by the audit committee. Then this is one point deleted, right? Verification regarding composition of the board. It says once a particular person is appointed as a director of the company, this appointment should be approved by the shareholders who is appointed by the board. Right, approval of the shareholders has to be obtained within by next general meeting or within a period of 3 months, whichever is earlier, right? So approval of shareholders required once a person is appointed as a director or as a manager. Next general meeting or 3 months, whichever is earlier. Now, the company has appointed, the board has appointed such a person as a director who was earlier rejected by the shareholders, right? So it says this person was earlier rejected by the shareholders. Now it says the appointment has to be done with the prior approval of the shareholders. So normally you can take an approval later on, but you want to appoint such a person as a director in your company which was earlier rejected by the shareholders. It says take prior approval of the shareholder, and the nomination remuneration committee has to give the detailed explanation, justification for the same. Okay, why such a person who was rejected, still why do they want to appoint him as a director, right? Why do they want to appoint him as a director, right? Then there is a change in the definition of the independent director, right? That says he should be a person of integrity, not a promoter of the listed LHSA. Everywhere it is LHSA. What is LHSA? Listed entity, holding, subsidiary and the associate company. Then is not related to the promoters. He is not a promoter. He is not related to the promoters. Then has no material pecuniary relationship with, again, LHSA PD. PD is what? Promoter director. During the 3 immediately preceding financial years or during the current financial year, right? So earlier this was 2, now it is made 3. Right, 3 immediately preceding financial year or the current financial year, right? Then none of his relatives. So if I have to do an audit of, if I have to be appointed as an independent director in a company, what does it say? None of my relatives should be holding any security or interest in, or should be indebted, or should have given any guarantee, right? So this is something similar to the disqualifications of the company auditor. Okay, if I have to be appointed as an independent director in a company, none of my relatives should be holding security interest or should be indebted or should have given a guarantee or any other pecuniary transaction, right? Then neither by himself nor through his relatives, right? So neither me nor my relative should be holding the position as a KMP or as an employee of the LHSA or any company belonging to the promoter group. Very important, this is where the MCQ or a question might come in the exam, that in case of a relative being an employee other than KMP, the restriction under this clause will not apply, right? So generally, if I or my relatives are the employees in any company, I cannot be an independent director in that company. But it says if relative is an employee other than a key managerial personnel, right, then it says you can still be appointed as an independent director, right? So and should not be a partner, proprietor, is employee of any of the firms, right? The stat audit firm or the company secretary firm should not be holding more than 2% of the voting power, right? So again, a case study has come in the exam, right? That person is holding so much shares and wife is holding so much share, and this is the total share capital of the company. So you have to say, if they calculate and check, if it exceeds 2%, then you are not you are not an independent director, right? So 2% or more of the voting power is the chief executive or director of any non-profit organization whose more than 25% receipts are coming from any of these, or is a material supplier, service provider, age not less than 21 years, and he should not be a non-independent director of another company where any independent director of the listed entity is a non-independent director. Okay, right? So that is the definition. So very important, we've seen the nitty-gritties over there, right? That he should be not employee other than KMP, then you can still be an independent director, right? Then after that, you have the point over there regarding the 2% of the voting power. Okay, then obligations with respect to employees, right, including the senior management. And so it says an independent director who resigned, right? So there is a director of the company, say, who has resigned or is removed. It says that vacancy is required to be filled. By when is that vacancy required to be filled? Not later than 3 months. Earlier, what was the provision over there? Not later than 3 months or next board meeting, whichever is later. Earlier, what was the provision over there? 3 months or next board meeting. Now, simple, what does it say? Not later than 3 months from the date of such vacancy. Right, so there is a director, this director resigned or he is being removed, and now there is a vacancy. By what time is this vacancy required to be filled? Not later than 3 months from the date of such vacancy. Right, then constitution of the NRC, the Nomination Remuneration Committee. Again, all committees, what does it say? Minimum 3 directors. Then there was a point over here that if it is having outstanding superior right equity shares, then 2/3 independent director. Now what does it say? Whether it has independent superior right equity share or does not have superior right equity share, always 2/3 independent director. Right, earlier it says if you are having outstanding SR, then you need to have 2/3. Now it says forget whether you have SR or not, you always need to have 2/3 independent directors. Right, so Nomination Remuneration Committee, minimum 3 directors, and at least 2/3 shall be the independent directors. Okay, then in the role of the Nomination Remuneration Committee, there is a point which has been added over there. Right, what is the nomination? They are going to nominate, okay, oh, this person can become a director in a company, and once he becomes a director, what remuneration should be paid to him? Right, so they formulate the criteria for determining qualification, positive attributes, and independence of a director, right, and recommend to the board a policy relating to the remuneration. That's what I say. They identify who can become a director and also what remuneration should be paid to that person. And now what does it say? For appointment of an independent director, the Nomination Remuneration Committee shall evaluate, okay, what type of an independent director do we require? Shall evaluate the skills, knowledge, and experience on the board, and on the basis of such evaluation, prepare a description of the roles and capabilities. Okay, what type of an independent director do we require? And once they know, okay, this is the type of independent director we require, then they'll try to identify, right? Then they will recommend to the board based, shall have the capabilities which have been identified in such description. And now where will you go searching for such type of a director, independent director? You can use the services of external agency. Consider candidates from a wide range of background having due regard to diversity, and obviously consider the time commitments, right? So if you want somebody, but then that somebody is very, very busy, then you cannot serve as an independent director in your company, right? So this is the amendment. There could be a question coming in the exam on this one, right? So role of the Nomination Remuneration Committee, right? What happens? Audit Committee, corporate governance, and who is like the leader of that chapter? Audit Committee. That's the name of the chapter, Audit Committee. What came in exam? Role of Nomination Remuneration Committee. What came in exam? Role of SRC, Stakeholder Relationship Committee. What came in exam? Risk Management Committee. Oh my God, you say, ma'am, all other committees have come except Audit Committee, and that's the committee I studied and go. And that's what is ICA exam. You should know the power of it. Okay, right. Risk Management Committee. It says which companies are required to constitute a risk management committee. Top 1,000 listed entities, always there. Now also who needs to create a risk management committee? It says a high value debt listed entity. What is a high value debt listed entity? Which has non-convertible debt securities of more than 500 crore. It says even those companies, entities are required to constitute a risk management committee. Again, what is is newly added over there is regarding the role of the risk management committee. So risk management committee, obviously what is going to be their first role? To have a detailed risk management policy. How to create a policy? For that, first identify the internal and external risk. Once you identify the risk, then the mitigation, and then in spite of the risk, how does your business continue? Right, so there has to be a risk management policy. Then that policy needs to be implemented. So there needs to be appropriate methodology, processes, and systems. Right, then oversee. So whatever policy you've implemented, you need to see whether the monitor and oversee the implementation of the risk management policy. Right, so first there should be a policy. That policy should be implemented. Then you should monitor and oversee the implementation of that policy. Then cannot happen that once you design a policy and that's it. No, that policy needs to be reviewed at least once in every 2 years. Right, so that again could be an MCQ. Right, review the risk management policy at least once in every 2 years. Then whatever the risk management committee is doing, they need to keep informed the board of directors. And also the appointment, removal, and terms of remuneration of the chief risk officer. So we have chief internal auditor, here we have the chief risk officer, if any, so not a compulsory, but if any, shall be subject to review by the risk management committee. And this committee will coordinate its activities with the other committees. Okay, so that's again a very important question. Fingers crossed. Okay, but we do expect, it's a probability, let me simply put it that way, that this question could be coming, or should be, or whichever word you want to use. But yeah, I can just simply put it as it's an important question. Right, the role of the risk management committee. Right, then information to the shareholders, it says the annual report, soft copy if you have their email address, hard copy if you don't have their email address, it's not registered, and a full copy in case if they've specifically requested for a hard copy of the full annual report. Obviously has to be sent not less than 21 days before the meeting. Then all the directors who are to be appointed, reappointed, the information regarding them is required to be given to the shareholders. Then also some related party disclosures. That's why they remove the related party disclosures from the mandatory areas of review by audit committee. Right, so related party disclosures, it says a quarterly compliance report has to be submitted to the stock exchange within 21 days, right? So this is again an MCQ, 21 days, 30 days, 45 days, right? So within 21 days from the end of each quarter. Then the listed entity will have a policy on determining the materiality of related party transaction. Generally, when would a related party transaction be considered to be material? If it exceeds 1000 crore or 10% of the act. What is act? 10% of the annual consolidated turnover, right? So it says listed entity, you need to submit a quarterly compliance report to the stock exchange. Then you should be having a policy for determining material related party transaction. When would it be considered material? If it exceeds 1000 crore or 10% of the annual consolidated turnover. Then if whenever the listed entity wants to enter into related party transaction, it requires the approval of the audit committee. But in the audit committee, who is going to approve that transaction? Only the independent directors of the audit committee. Prior approval of the independent directors, because what's the constitution of audit committee? Minimum 3 directors, 2/3 shall be independent, right? So only the independent directors, only they will approve the related party transaction. Non-independent director, no. Then how many times to approve? Sometimes they may give an omnibus approval also. Then it says listed entity has to submit to the stock exchanges the disclosures of related party transaction. And again, for high value debt listed entities, these details are to be given on half yearly basis. So here we said it has to be given at the end of each quarter. But for HVDL, high value debt listed entity, it is to be given at the half year. And these details, right, the listed entity shall make the disclosures every 6 months within 15 days from the date of publication of its standalone and consolidated financial results. So like say today, the listed entity has published its standalone and consolidated financial results. From today, within 15 days, it has to give the disclosures of related party. And with effect from 1st April 2023, what does it say? On the date of publication. So today, if you publish your standalone and consolidated results, today you have to give the related party disclosures. But the today will come from 1st April 2023. Now what does it say? If published today, then from today within 15 days. Right? Then from today within 15 days. And then some related party disclosures in the annual report. However, these disclosures are required when 10% or more of the shareholding and also not applicable to listed banks. Right? So that's an important point of observation over there, that not applicable to listed banks. Okay. Right? Clear to everyone? These are the amendments which we have in our chapter of the audit committee and the corporate governance. Are you all with me? Right? I have opened a wonderful chapter over there, that is the automated environment. Right? So class, we'll take it for maybe 1.5 hour more. Right? Are you busy elsewhere or so? Okay. Right, so I'll try to give you a comprehensive review of few important topics just based on probability of what comes in the exam. Right, so that's how we'll proceed with the class. I've been noticing that there are messages coming over there, but then more important for me is to discuss with you rather than reading your messages over there, right? I'll read your mail, when you write me a mail that, I attended the session and then I got a 60 plus in audit and I've become a chartered accountant and I've got an all India rank. That mail I will read very happily and leisurely. Right now, no. Please cover Caro 20. Okay, no problem. We'll do that. Yes, all of you all charged, all prepared. You're all set. Like the war is on, no, right now. Not war, what do you say? The game or your festival of the exams is on right now. Like 2 days of the festival are over in group 1. So now 2 more days remaining for group 1, and then we have group 2 also and all of that. Okay. Yes, all of you. Right, so this revision lecture, it would be there on the channel for some time, so don't worry. Okay. Yeah, some of you writing messages, retracting messages. Why you're doing all that? Huh? You have to write exams. Why? I don't. It's about to become a chartered accountant. Yeah, 2-3 months down the line, you won't be a whatever is your name. Whatever is your name, before that name, there is going to be a prefix. CA. So now start behaving as if you're almost about to become a CA. So that's super important. Now you have to visualize, then it will get manifested in your life. Anyways, chalo, aage badhte hai. Yes, all of you listening to me? Get an exemption in audit? No? Yes, okay, right. So special aspects of auditing in an automated environment. Okay, so few important questions we look into over there. This was the question which has come in your May 22 exams, understanding and documenting the automated environment, right? So it says I have to understand. Oh, automated, acha, kaun sa application? What applications are you using? Then the infrastructure and the organization structure. So the IT infrastructure and the organization structure. Then the policies, procedures and processes, and the risks and control. Okay, so audit committee, corporate governance, you can go to my Telegram channel, and on that Telegram channel you'll find that audit highlights for November 22, so you can download it from there. I have also put a question and answer compiler over there, wherein last few RTP, MTP suggested some 128 or 126 page document which is there. So if you want to revise a few questions and answers in 128 page just before you go into the exam hall, you can see this. And I am also in the process of uploading a few, don't see them right now, but yeah, I'm also in the process of taking a few polls over there of the MCQ, right? So just for revision purpose, if time permits you, if required by you, only then you can answer those particular MCQs on the Telegram channel, otherwise not required. ठीक है, चलो आगे बढ़ते हैं. Understanding and documenting the automated environment. Okay, then consideration of automated environment at each phase of the audit cycle. Again, a question asked 3 times in the exam. But consideration of automated environment. Okay, I am doing an audit of a company and continuously have to keep in mind, oh, my client, automated, railway ticket booking nowadays, automated, Flipkart, Myntra, Zomato, Ola, automated. Any of these companies, I have to do an audit, automated environment. So first thing what I have to do, I have to do the risk assessment, right? So identify the accounts and disclosures, the quantitative, qualitative consideration, which financial statement assertions are being affected, what are the likely sources, right? The risk of material misstatement, and what is the risk arising from the use of IT system. So when I come to know that, oh, my client is automated, I have to first do the risk assessment. Once I do the risk assessment, now I need to understand and evaluate. How to understand and evaluate? Either by flow chart, narrative, prepare the risk and control matrices, do the walkthrough of the entire system from beginning to end, right? The entire process, then check the entity level controls, right? The IT general controls and the application control. So what happened? You come to know, my client automated. So first, risk kya hai? Automation, what is the risk? Then I understand and evaluate the controls, right? For that, I use flow charts, narrative, risk and control matrices. Then I test for the operating effectiveness, right? The nature, timing and extent of the TOC, that is control testing. Then I also need to check, I decide on the nature, timing and extent of TOC, whatever population on which I'm going to perform my audit procedure, I need to check the reliability of the source data and the completeness of the population. Don't just pick up the population and start checking. अरे check तो करो population, is it complete or not, whether all fixed assets are there in the register, whether all inventory is there in the register. So that you need to check. Then testing, the key report, sample testing, and the competence and independence of the staff, the people who are doing the work, are they capable, do they understand how to check the IT controls and all, right? So competence and independence of the staff. And then ultimately chartered accountant, what you do at the end, reporting. Evaluate the deficiency, check whether it's a significant deficiency, check whether it's a material weakness. If it could affect financial statements and significant deficiency becomes a material weakness. Then remediation of the control weakness, internal control memo, that is the SA 265 letter of weakness, and also mention about it in the audit report 143.3I, where the company has adequate internal financial control and the operating effectiveness of such control. Okay, right. So that's regarding consideration of automated environment at each phase of the audit cycle. Right, RTP number 22, there is a question regarding explain, what is general IT controls, application controls, and the IT dependent manual control. Possibility for your exams. Okay, possibility. Let's just look into the question. That application control is an important question over there. They could only be asking you a question, say, on application control. Right, so application, like whenever you're filling up any online, you're paying your TDS, right, or you're paying your GST, then there are a lot of controls which are there on that website or so, right? So that's called as the application controls, right? So application control could be both automated or manual. It could be preventive as well as detective, right? So it could be automated or it could be manual. It could be a preventive control or it could be a detective control. Then what does it ensure? That transactions occurred are properly authorized and properly recorded. Then there could be some automated application control, like when you're putting in the your date of birth, then it says it what's it in a particular format, DDMMYYYY, right? So that's an automated application control. You put it in any other format, it is not acceptable. So automated application control. And then they have the examples of automated application. Mind you, some of you based on experience would be knowing that if you write anything in your own language, own words, you don't get the marks which you want, right? You don't get the required marks or the essential marks over there, right? I use the AI terminology, technical words, writing enough content in your answer, having proper time management, having good presentation. All these ingredients need to go together for getting success in the audit paper, right? All of this has to go together. Okay, right? So that's regarding the application controls, right? Then you have the ELCs and the PLCs, right? Entity level controls and the process level control. Entity level controls which operate across the organization, from board and top management to department transaction level, right? So from the CEO of the company to the peon of the company, everybody has to follow these controls. These are called as the entity level controls, right? Direct entity level control, which will help to PDC and prevent, detect or correct any misstatement, and indirect ELC which cannot prevent or detect, but they will help in the effective application of the direct ELCs, right? So direct and indirect ELCs. Okay, then data analytics, again a question coming in the exams, right, regarding the data analytics. What is data analytics? It says the process of generating meaningful information from raw system data using processes, tools and techniques is referred to as data analytics. Right, so meaningful information from raw system data. So like if I put a filter in Excel, that's data analytics. Right, process of generating the meaningful information from raw system data using processes, tools and techniques is referred to as data analytics. Where in an audit can you make use of data analytics? It says preliminary analysis, non-standard journal entry analysis, risk assessment, fraud risk assessment, control testing and evaluation of deficiencies. And then what are the steps to be followed in the uses of CATs, computer assisted audit techniques or data analytics? Right, so first it says you need to understand the environment and define the objective. Why are you doing this particular checking? Say you want to check depreciation. So to check depreciation, what data will you require? Fixed assets data. So identify the data, then extract the data, check the completeness and accuracy of the data. Then you apply the formula. So apply the criteria on the data, and then you get the result, and based on the result you reach to your conclusion. Right? So steps to be followed in the uses of the CAS, and then you have some other international internal control frameworks given over there. Right, so that's just an overview what I could do from my side for the chapter of the, yes, that's for the chapter of the, yes, special aspects of auditing in an automated environment. Okay, right, so now let's come to, like, there is a question which has come recently, which is regarding the eligibility to be a reviewer. Right, and also important is the applicability of the peer review. Right, so let's just have a quick look at those content over there. Right, so eligibility to be a reviewer. Right, so there is a question which says that the chartered accountant, he is been in industry for say 9 years. Right, so if he is been in industry for 9 years, then what do we say? No, at least 10 years of industry experience and 3 years of audit experience. But he is already has practiced for 10 years, and he has industry experience of 9 years, but he's practiced for 10 years or so. So anyways, he fulfills condition number 1, no? That's 7 years of experience. And that's a question in your MTP, right? So those of you who've seen the latest MTP can relate to what I'm saying over here, right? It says that he's having only 9 years industry experience. And then you say, oh my God, 10 years industry experience with 3 years audit practice experience hona chahiye. Array, but he's having 10 years audit experience now. So if you can't fulfill condition 2, if you fulfill condition 1, then you are eligible to be a reviewer. If you can't fulfill condition 2, but if you fulfill condition 1, then also you are eligible to be a reviewer, right? So shall be a member in practice with at least 7 years of audit experience. If moving from industry to practice, industry experience for 10 years and the audit practice experience for 3 years, undergone the requisite training, cleared the requisite test, has given a declaration as prescribed by the peer review board, given a declaration of confidentiality, and he shall not be eligible. So this is like a disqualification, right? A member shall not be eligible for being appointed as a reviewer when, if any disciplinary action is pending against him, or he has been found guilty, or has been convicted by a competent court, or has any obligation or conflict of interest in the practice unit. And very important one, where they can again make an MCQ in the exam, has undergone his training or articleship under any of the partner of the practice unit. Right, so if you've done your articleship under any of the partners of that practice unit, can you go as a reviewer to that particular practice unit for doing the peer review? No. Right, then if I have to go to any CA firm for doing the peer review, last 2 years I should not have done any audit, and next any audits, no, any professional assignment, and next 2 years also I should not be doing any professional assignment for that particular practice unit. Right, so previously no 2 years, and next no 2 years if I have to do the peer review of that practice unit. Okay. Right, very important is this applicability and the periodicity of peer review, because they are making a type of question, you know, they say we are to be appointed, and the peer review of the following firms is to be done, and please tell whether it's a level 1 entity or a level 2 entity. Right, so level 1 entity, peer review to be done once in every 3 years, and level 2 once in every 4 years. Right, when will your CA firm be considered to be a level 1 entity? It says if you're doing any of these following audits, any one of them also, you are a level 1 unit. If you are the statutory central auditor of any bank or insurance company, or any central or state public sector undertaking, asset management company, mutual fund company, an entity whose debt or equity is listed in India or abroad, or who's preparing financial statements as per Ind AS, body corporate including trusts which are covered under the PIEs, the public interest entities. So these, any of these pink ones which I've marked over here, any of these if you are doing the audit of, it says you are a level 1 unit. Right, then there are some numbers given over there. So those numbers are important, because MCQs now, they always check on numbers. And the dividend ka, you see so many questions coming regarding the numbers only over there. Okay, right, so Central Cooperative Society. So if you are doing the audit of a CCS, the Central Cooperative Society, which is having a turnover exceeding 250 crore or net worth exceeding 5 crore. So CCS having turnover exceeding 250 or net worth exceeding the 5 crore. It says audit of any entity now having net worth of more than 100 crore or having turnover of 250 crore. So this 250 crore is same. right? So statutory audit of any entity, right? What does it say? Having net worth of more than 100 crore. Here it, for central cooperative society it is 5 crore. Here it is 100 crore, and turnover is same, 250 crore, right? Then it says any entity which has been funded by the central or the state government by more than, oh sorry, I'll use a different color, right? Funded by the central or state government by more than 50 crore, or it says which has raised funds of more than 50 crore, or which has NBFC which has accepted deposits of 100 crore or above, right? Which has accepted deposits of 100 crore or above. Then in that case you are a level 1 unit under peer review. And then you have the level 2. If you're doing the concurrent system audit of the branches offices of any PSU, bank, insurance company, then you are level 2. If you're the statutory central auditor, then you are level 1. If you're doing the audits of the branches offices, then you are level 2, right? NBFC is not covered above, UDI generated, and any others, right? And any others, okay. Right, so that's regarding the applicability of the peer review. Very important, why peer review? Why another CA is coming to your firm and checking regarding the work done by your firm? It says in order to ensure two things. One, that you do your work as per the technical, ethical, and the professional standards, right? So technical, ethical, and professional standards. And second, in order to ensure the quality of assurance services, right? So check compliance. One, are you doing your work as you wish, or are you doing the work as per the technical, ethical, professional standards? And second, also to ensure the quality of the assurance services, right? Quality of the assurance services, okay, right? So many of you have asked me for a discussion regarding CARO, right? So before we go into a few other chapters, or discussion regarding forensic audit or so, let's have a quick review of CARO 2020. Right, the company's auditors report order 2020. Right, so in between I need to check whether you guys are with me, whether you all are attending, listening to me, or what is happening. So yeah, how do I come to know that you are there? Yes, for that you'll have to put a message over there. Yes, all of you there. Let's discuss CARO. CARO, new CARO. So new clauses. Every exam they are asking some new clause in the MCQs or in the main part of the paper, right? So yeah, nice. So whatever names I'm seeing right now, I should see these mails, these names also coming in my mailbox, just few months down the line, and I should be seeing your names. Okay, Caro made short points. Okay, I know. Yeah. Right. So there are students, who sometimes have a thought, now when you're juniors later on, when they'll study audit and all, so they have a lot of comfort with Hindi. तो हिंदी का ऐसा क्या है? मतलब मैं तो पूरा ही सब्जेक्ट हिंदी में पढ़ा लूँ, बट एग्जाम तो हमें इंग्लिश में ही लिखना होगा ना, है ना? ऐसे अगर कोई है ना मारवाडी है, तो मैं तो मारवाडी में पण थाने शिकाय देऊ सगळं, पण मारवाडी में शिक्का चालीला क्या ना, तो ना असं नाही चालणार ना, मारवाडीमध्ये, मराठीमध्ये, हिंदीमध्ये, है ना? तो we have to write it in English only. Anyways, I just wanted to keep you alive and active. That's why I just, you gave me this opportunity to discuss with you. So I thought, let me talk with all of you. Right. So, Caro, doing very well in the exams nowadays. Doing very well means what? I know one question coming in the exam. Arey, ma'am, one question also, that 39 to 40, and then that 198 to 200 ka journey. Terrific. Terrific, ma'am, terrific. 170, 180 journey, I am seasoned. I know how to reach for. Oh, the level after that, the amount of effort, the amount of challenge which goes, the effort. Okay, ma'am, three times the effort for getting these additional 10 marks as compared to, all the 190s and 180s which I've always been getting. You realize that, right? So what, there has to be a charge, there has to be a spark in your preparation, there has to be a lot of liveliness in when you study. That's important. You study audit now in such a way, oh, these are the points, this is the concept, this is the question which will come, and this is how I'll write the answer, these are the technical words, my presentation will be good, I'll manage my time properly. I'm saying it again and again because I sincerely, seriously want it imprinted on you. कैसा ही करना है ना. This is how you will get success in your exams. Okay, right. So anyways, let's proceed further. Okay, to Caro 2020, which says that, you know, Caro will apply to every company, including a foreign company, except, you know, banking, insurance, Section 8, one person company, small company, and a private limited company subject to certain condition. Abhi recently what question they made, let me see if I can quickly find it, so I'll quickly show you. If it takes time then you can see it later, है ना. ऐसे तो आपने देखा होगा मे बी. ये देखो ये आ गया क्वेश्चन. नो नॉट दिस वन. No, the resignation of the audit. I was mentioning to you about this one. No, this is not the one which I want to show you, but see this question. This is another one. See, CAA, the auditor of XYZ, resigned from the post due to his personal reasons. CAB was appointed as the subsequent auditor of the company by the board of directors. ठीक है. During the conclusion of the audit for the financial year, should CAB mention about CAA's resignation in Caro? 100% yes. As per clause 18 of para 3 of Caro 2020, CAB should report the resignation of CAA and should state if he has taken into consideration, I told you, the issues, objections and concerns which have been raised by the outgoing auditor, right? The issues, objections and the concerns which have been raised by the outgoing auditor. Okay, very good. Wait, let me search for that one question of Caro and then we proceed further. हाँ ये आ गया. के फिनटेक प्राइवेट लिमिटेड. तो प्राइवेट लिमिटेड क्या कंडीशन है? 1 crore, 1 crore, 10 crore, है ना. सो हैविंग पेड अप शेयर कैपिटल एंड रिजर्व्स ऑफ 150 lakh exceeding, है ना, एंड पेड अप शेयर कैपिटल इंक्लूडिंग 90 lakh as at the end of the year. Financial year 21-22 borrowed 80 lakh from bank A, 140 lakh from bank B. The amount borrowed from bank B was repaid during the year, but we say at any point of time, and the turnover of the company was 1850 lakh. Select the appropriate option. So if I check 1 crore, 1 crore, 10 crore, it is exceeding the limit, but it is fitting into the definition of the small company. That is why what it says, Caro will not be applicable as the company will fall under the exemption provided in the order for small company as per section 285 of the Companies Act 2013. Okay, right. Because I've come over here, I'll also show you this one more interesting question, right? So that we've had a little bit of look at the, what do you say, the MCQs also. Just, yes, bear with me. I need to search for the questions. So that's the challenge over there, right? So, but such an interesting question they make. This drafting question, एक तो question कर लेना regarding how to draft a adverse opinion, qualified opinion, disclaimer of opinion. That's an important question for you to study. Right, so Caro. This one. Whether it is justifiable that CA Kamlesh didn't report on the matter with respect to sale of investments even without inquiring for the same. So here there is a point regarding, you know, the sale of investments, right? So what does it say? Kamlesh observed that investments in certain securities were sold at a price less than the price at which they were purchased by the company, and he didn't report on such matter as per section 143(1) of the Companies Act without even considering to inquire into the propriety aspect of the same. Oh my God. 143 subsection 1. What does it say? Right, 143 subsection 1, duty as to inquiry, right? So what is one point of inquiry? Okay, whether share securities debentures have been sold at a price less than the price at which they were purchased by the company. Here they have been sold at a price less than the price at which they were purchased by the company. But then what does it say? He's doing the audit of this company, right? And that portion of its money, you know, doing audit of Pramath Limited, that required to invest some portion of its money earned in the business of securities of different blue chip company, and due to this reason total assets consisted of such investments, right? So it's an investment company. And what are the wordings of 143(1)? Right, what are the wordings of 143(1)(c)? Where the company is not an investment or a banking company, where the share securities debentures have been sold at a price less than the price at which they were purchased by the company, where the company is not an investment or a banking company. That means in case of investment banking company, I don't need to do this inquiry and I don't need to do the reporting even if there is an adverse finding. Yes, so as the relevant clause for reporting is not applicable in case of Pramath Limited. Why not applicable? Because that is how 143(1) starts. What does it say? The C1, where the company is not an investment or a banking company. What does it say? Shares, securities, debentures have been sold at a price less than. Had it been other than investment banking company, then we would have reported on this clause. Okay, right. So anyways, before giving our time to anything else, now let's come to, yes, Caro 2020. So that's first regarding the applicability, and then now coming to the clauses of Caro, right? So clauses of Caro, we have the clause 1, which is regarding the property, plant, equipment, intangible assets, right? Property, plant, equipment, intangible assets under clause 1, right? So how do you write the clause of Caro in the exam? As per clause 1, and then whatever A, B, C, D, the subclauses of para 3 of Caro 2020, the auditor is required to report, right? And then whatever is the reporting requirement, you write. Then you write down what are the audit procedures, that as an auditor to report on this, what checking you will do, what audit procedure will you perform. Then you write down in the given case, whatever happened in the question, and then after that you write down the conclusion. Therefore, the auditor is required to report under clause 3 of Caro, or the auditor is not required to report, or whatever be the case. Okay. Right. So anyways, now coming to clause 1, which is regarding the property, plant, equipment, intangible assets. What is clause 1A? Whether the company is maintaining the proper records. Yes, everybody, are you maintaining proper records? Right, so whether the company is maintaining the proper record showing full particulars, including quantitative details and situation of PPE, that is property, plant, equipment, and whether the company is maintaining proper record showing full particulars of the intangible assets, right? So whether the company is maintaining proper records of PPE and proper records of the intangible assets. Then whether these property, plant, equipment, have they been physically verified by the management at reasonable intervals, and any material discrepancies noticed on physical verification, have they been properly dealt with in the books of account, right? So that is clause 1B, and a physical verification at reasonable interval, right? Then after that, what does it say? Whether the title deeds of immovable properties, are they held in the name of the company, other than those where the company is the lessee and the lease agreements have duly been executed in favor of the lessee, right? Title deeds of immovable property, are they held in the name of the company? If not, provide the details thereof, right? So title deeds of immovable property. Then whether any revaluation, whether any property, plant, equipment, including right of use assets or intangible assets or both, have been revalued during the year. Yes. Then whether the revaluation has been done by a registered valuer, then what is the amount of change, and if the change is of 10% or more on each class of the PPE or the intangible asset. Right. And last one, whether any proceedings have been initiated or are pending against the company for holding any Benami property under the Prohibition of Benami Transaction Act, whether the details have been disclosed in the financial statements, right? Whether the details have been disclosed, right? So you can go and check it in the contingent liabilities, right? So that is clause 1, property, plant, equipment, intangible assets. Right? Property, plant, equipment, intangible asset. I repeat once again, how do you write your answer? First, you write down as per clause 1 of para 3 of Caro 2020, the auditor is required to report whether the company, depending on what is asked in the question. Then you write down, okay, now how do I check proper records? So you say we will obtain a copy of the PPE register, check whether all particulars of the fixed assets have been given in the same. So you write down the audit procedure. So whenever you're reading, whenever you're revising right now, check, okay, theek hai, ye report karna hai, but in order to report on this, what are the audit procedures which are required to be performed? वो लिखना होगा answer में. That is what you have to write in the answer, right? So first you write as per clause 2 of para 3 of Caro 2020, the auditor is required to report whether. Then after that you write, how does he report if he has to do, what to checking to do, what audit procedure to perform. Then in the given case, whatever has happened in the question you mentioned, and then conclusion, therefore the auditor is required to report, therefore the auditor is not required to report, and accordingly you can proceed further, right? Then you have clause 2, which is regarding the inventories and working capital. 2A is regarding the inventories, and 2B is regarding the working capital. What does it say? Whether inventories have been physically verified by the management at reasonable intervals, and at least once in a year. And then what does it say? Whether the procedures followed for such verification, are they appropriate? And discrepancies of 10% or more. So here they don't say material discrepancies, they say discrepancies of 10% or more, have they been properly dealt with in the books of account? Right, nowadays what is trending in the exams, also a question asked recently, was regarding clause 2B, which is regarding the working capital. Whether at any point of time during the year, boss, they catch you at any point over there, they say at the end of the year, and then you think, end of the year, so it is not exceeding 5 crore. In between the year, it was exceeding 5 crore. So then you have to read it very much, putting oil in your eyes and reading it, and aankhon mein tel dal ke, that time. Whether at any point of time during the year the company has been sanctioned working capital limit in excess of 5 crore on the basis of security of the current assets from any bank or financial institution, whether the quarterly return statements which have been submitted to the bank financial institution, are they in agreement with the books of account? है ना? CA, auditor, what he has to check, they have taken a loan working capital of more than 5 crore from the bank. They are submitting the quarterly return statements to the bank. CA has to report in Caro, okay, whatever quarterly return statements are being submitted to the bank, are they in agreement with the books of account? Understand, they're putting it all in the responsibilities of the chartered accountant. Okay, right, so important one, please do see a case study, it's there in your latest MTP RTP also, regarding the clause 2B, regarding the working capital. I hope you are noting down. Okay, clause 3, loans, investments, guarantee, securities, you have to give the details of transaction. Again, clause 4 is regarding the loans, investments, guarantee, security, whether they are in compliance with section 185, 186, right? Then you have the clause 5, which is regarding the public deposits, right? So whether it's in compliance with the provisions of Companies Act rules. Clause 6, cost records, have they been made and maintained? Coming to the next one, clause 7, important one. Hannah, listen to me carefully, statutory dues. Right, so statutory dues divided under 2, undisputed, disputed. For undisputed, what does it say? Whether the company is regular in depositing the undisputed statutory dues. Right, so are they paying them on or not before the due date, or not paying on or before the due date? So whether the company is regular in depositing the undisputed statutory dues, and those undisputed statutory dues which are outstanding as on the date of balance sheet for a period of more than 6 months from the date they became payable. Right, outstanding for a period of more than 6 months from the date they became payable. And what we'll do quickly, and we'll look into one part. Oh, sorry. Now, ek MCQ hai. We'll just quickly come to that one. Yeah, this one. CSZ is appointed as a statutory auditor of JB Finance and NBFC under the NBFC directions. Okay, that's regarding the, sorry, not this one. I wanted to read this one. Anyways, the answer for this one, NBFC, how much provision they need to make. So for standard asset, it is 0.40, right? For substandard asset, it is 10% provision. For doubtful, up to 1 year, it is 20%. 1 to 3 year, it is 30%. And more than 3 year, it is 50%, right? So this comes to, right, 0.40, that is yes, 28 over there, right? 0.4, yes, 0.4 over there. Then after that, this is the 2, right? And then after that, again, you have the 2, and then after that, the 25, right? So it's coming over there to, yes, it's coming over there to 49.8, right? So 49.8, right? So that's the answer to that one. But this is the question regarding the statutory due. While auditing with respect to compliance with Caro, Om Prakash, for additional reporting requirement, observe the following. Yes, and the representation. And now it says undisputed amount payable and when it has been paid. What is the point which we have? Outstanding as on the date of balance sheet for a period of more than 6 months from the date it became payable. So it is outstanding as on the date of the balance sheet, right, for a period of more than 6 months. So now what does it say? It has been paid on 27th of March. So it was not outstanding as on the date of balance sheet. Okay, now these two, they are outstanding as on the date of the balance sheet because they were paid after 31st of March. March. They were not paid on or before 31st of March. But since when were they outstanding? Were they outstanding for more than 6 months? It's October. So November, December, January, February, March, right? 31st March, outstanding as on the date of balance sheet. So this is also not outstanding for more than 6 months from the date it became payable. 20th September, yeah. Because see, 20th September, 20th October, 20th November, 20th December, 20th January, 20th February, 20th March. Is it outstanding for a period of more than 6 months from the date it became payable? And was it outstanding on the balance sheet date? Yeah, because it was paid on 10th of April. So this we'll have to consider. And then last one, not paid only till date, but here where it is 18th October. So again, in 18 November. So November, December, January, February, March. April, so is it more than 6 months? Again, no, it is only coming to 5 months. Right? So again, this will not be reported, right? So which is the one to be reported over your 0.65 lakh, right? That is the one which needs to be reported. Okay, right? So one, regularity of payment and more than 6 months. So that which is outstanding on or before 30th of September. And for disputed statutory dues, the amount involved and the forum where the dispute is pending, right? The amount involved and the forum where the dispute is pending. That is clause 7 regarding the statutory dues, right? Then clause 8, it is regarding the undisclosed income, right? So also asked in your May 22 exams in the MCQ part, right? The undisclosed income, right? Transactions which are not recorded in the books of account have now been surrendered or disclosed as income during the tax assessments under the income tax law, whether the previously unrecorded income, whether now it has been properly recorded in the books of account, right? So clause 8, which is regarding the undisclosed income. Transactions which were not recorded, previously unrecorded, now properly recorded in the books of account, right? So which has been surrendered or disclosed as income during the tax assessments under the income tax law, right? Then after that you have the clause 9, which is regarding the repayment of loans or borrowing, right? So again, very favorite question of the institute, whether the company has defaulted in the repayment of dues to banks, financial institutions or any lender. It says if yes, then the period and amount of default is to be reported, right? So company has defaulted and taken a loan from the bank and not repaying, taken a loan from financial institution, not repaying on or before the due date. So default in the repayment of dues, then what does it say? The period and amount of default is to be reported. And then 9C is again an important one, which says whether term loans have they been applied for the purpose for which they have been obtained. If not, again you need to give the details. At clause 10, it is regarding the IPO, FPO proceeds and the preferential allotment and private placement, whether it has been used for the purpose for which they have been raised, right? So that's clause 1 to 10. What is clause 1 to 10? Property, plant, equipment, intangible assets, inventory, working capital, loans, investments, guarantee security, loans, investments, guarantee security, public deposits, cost records. Then you have the statutory dues, then undisclosed income, repayment of loans and borrowings, and the issue proceeds, right? So now proceeding further to clause 11, which is regarding the fraud. Right? Fraud, you have 3 clauses, sub-clauses over there. Whether any fraud on the company or whether any fraud by the company has been noticed or reported during the year. If yes, the nature and amount involved is to be reported. Then whether any fraud reporting has been done to the central government under 143(12) and whistleblower complaints received by the company, have they been taken into consideration by the auditor? Right? So that is regarding clause 11, which is regarding the fraud. So whenever a question comes regarding fraud, you will also make a reference to SA 240, 143(12) and clause 11 of CAR. Right, clause 12 is regarding the Nidhi company. Clause 13 is regarding the related parties. Whether transactions with related parties, are they in compliance with section 177 and 188? And the details have been disclosed as per the applicable AS. And obviously goes without saying that also need to make a reference to SA 550, which is regarding related parties. 14, internal audit. Right, whether the company has an internal audit system commensurate with the size and nature of its business, and whether the reports of the internal auditor have been taken into consideration by the statutory auditors. Clause 15, non-cash transaction. Recently there is an MCQ on this one. Whether the company has entered into any non-cash transactions with the directors or persons connected therewith. If yes, then whether it is in compliance with section 192 of the Companies Act. Right, whether the company has entered into any non-cash transactions, whether it is in compliance with section 192, right? Recently there is an MCQ on this one. Right, in the MTP RTPs. Then clause 16 is regarding the registration with RBI, whether the company is required to be registered under section 45IA of the RBI Act, whether it has conducted any NBF or HFA activity without holding a valid certificate of registration, then whether it fulfills the criteria of being a CIC, or if it's an unregistered CIC, whether it fulfills that criteria, and the number of CICs which are part of the group. Right, so that's clause 16 regarding the NBFC. Right, then clause 17, which is regarding the cash losses, right, whether the company has incurred cash losses in the financial year and in the immediately preceding financial year. So this year and previous year, both years there should have been a cash loss. Then you need to do the reporting under clause 17. Okay, right. Then after that, you have the clause 18, which we've already discussed, which is regarding the resignation of the statutory auditors, right? So whether there has been any resignation of the auditors, whether the incoming auditor, have they considered the IOC? So one incoming auditor, NOC, otherwise 811. And second incoming auditor, IOC. The issues, objections and concerns raised by the outgoing auditor, have they been taken into consideration by the auditors, right? So that's clause 18. Clause 19, material uncertainty regarding the ability to meet the liability. Right, so whether next 1 year liquidity check, that next 1 year, does the company has enough funds to repay their, to pay their liabilities as and when they fall due within a period of 1 year from the balance sheet date, right? That no material uncertainty exists, right? So it says on the basis of financial ratios, aging and expected date of realization of financial assets and payment of financial liabilities, the auditor's knowledge of the board of directors, other information, and the management plan. What does it say? That the auditor says that as on the date of report, no material uncertainty exists, that the company is capable. It says, don't worry, they have enough money to pay their liabilities for next 1 year. That the company is capable of meeting its liability as and when they fall due within a period of 1 year from the balance sheet date, right? Important one. Very much a question expected on this one. And then clause 20 is regarding the CSR, the corporate social responsibility, other than ongoing project, whether it has been transferred to a CSR fund, and related to ongoing project, whether it has been transferred to the unspent CSR account. And then 21 is the qualifications, adverse remarks in the those audit reports of companies which are included in the consolidated financial statements. Okay, right, so that's a quick revision regarding the CARO. I hope you get it. Clause 11, everybody tell me what is clause 11? Regarding fraud. Then 12, Nidhi company. 13, related parties. 14, internal audit. 15, non-cash transactions. 16, registration with RBI and the NBFC. 17, cash losses. 18, resignation of the auditors. 19, material uncertainty regarding the ability to meet the liabilities. 20, CSR. And 21 is regarding the CFS. That is the consolidated financial statements. Okay. Right, so disputed dues more than 6 months, right? So it's undisputed, more than 6 months. For disputed amount involved in forum, there you don't apply that concept. Okay, right. All good. Let's go to little bit of bank audit and a little bit of forensic audit, and then call it a day. Then finish our discussion, and maybe something else if it comes up, we'll discuss that also. No worries. Right, anyway, see, I'm at PSU audit, so let's discuss a little bit of PSU also. PSU, there is this one important question over there regarding determining audit criteria. It's there in the study material, yet to be coming in your exams, right? So determining audit criteria. So it says when you have to do the performance audit, you have to check it against certain benchmarks, certain criteria. So from where can I get these benchmarks? From where can I get these criteria? It says, no, you compare it, okay, whether it is as expected. So from where do I compare it with? So it says you can get it from procedure manuals and policy standards, right? So P. Then similar entity, what standards, and the same entity or other entities. Then also independent expert opinion, so same entity or expert opinion. And then any scientific knowledge or any subject matter literature. So scientific knowledge or any subject matter literature, right? Scientific knowledge or any subject matter literature. Right. So this is just probability, that what I'm discussing could be coming. But yeah, let's hope for the best, that something good comes in the exam from all of this. Right, propriety audit, it has been an ever favorite, an all-time favorite of ICAI. Right, so it says propriety audit, that which meets the test of public interest. Okay, whether the expenditure, is it being incurred in public interest, or is it like, just the Morbi Dam, wherein they are just doing the painting and some work over there, and then just the, the, what you say, just it being opened again, and such a calamity, disaster happening. Oh, very, very sad. But yeah, that's what it needs to be checked. Okay, oh, there has been expenditure incurred. Oh, that it has been renewed. Now it's a British era type of over there. But life skills very important, like swimming or so. Anyways, let's not get into that. But over here, okay, whether it meets the test of public interest, commonly accepted customs and standards of conduct, particularly as applied to professional performance. Boss, there has to be professional performance, requirement of law, government regulations, and codes. Right? So it says, what is the aim of propriety audit? To find out cases of improper, avoidable, wasteful, unnecessary, infractious expenditure being incurred. And how do I come to know, okay, this expenditure is not proper? It says, one, expenditure should not be prima facie more than what the occasion demands. Right? Expenditure should not be prima facie more than what the occasion demands. No misuse of power. No authority should exercise power which is directly or indirectly to its own advantage. Then, public money should not be utilized for the benefit of a particular person or group of person. And apart from the remuneration, there should be no other revenue, an avenue which is kept available as a other income for the government employees, right, which is kept available for the government employees, right? So propriety audit, like, you could be referring different books, even institute study material is great. You say, ma'am, one day before the exam, you're talking about institute study material, like seriously. No, I'm just mentioning about it. Okay, right. So anyways, like, how important is propriety audits? Oh my God, record breaking. पर ये सारा देखना मोह माया है क्या, इतनी बार आया है. अरे, it's important for you if it comes in your exam, otherwise what? Okay, but anyways, that's an analysis. Okay, so many times propriety audit has come in the exam. Recently, what is also coming a lot in the exam is regarding the comprehensive audit, right? Comprehensive audit, and then you also have the powers of CAG in case of government company. How it is now one day before the exam, you want to know everything, you want to learn everything. All these days, what were you doing? You see, ma'am, we were studying only. Okay, right. So areas covered by the, yes, now we are talking about the areas covered in the comprehensive audit, right? So what are the issues which get examined over there? It says, oh my God, government program project, big failure. What happened? It says exceeded the approved planned cost. Then after that, underutilization of capacity. So like planned cost exceeded, planned rate of return not achieved, and underutilization of the utilization of the installed capacity. Why all this happened? Because the project formulation implementation not sound, no proper cost control measures, right? Then it says you have to back up, you have to be updated, artificial intelligence, blockchain, cryptocurrency, not over here, but yeah, there has to be R&D, research and development, there has to be repairs and maintenance. Right, so research and development, repairs and maintenance, right? Then proper purchase policy, proper procedures, proper planning, and avoid all undue wastage, unproductive time for men, machine, and even wasteful utilization or non-utilization of resources, right? You have to be a good story writer, to write this answer. Okay, Q fail ho gaya, what went wrong? So you say planned cost exceeded actual cost, underutilization of capacity, planned rate of return not achieved, project formulation went wrong, cost control not there, no R&D, no repairs and maintenance, then adequate purchase policy, procedures, planning, and whether there has been any undue wastage. Okay. Right. Then you also have this report of CNAG. Okay, so these questions are like do or die questions, right? Has a question come in the exam? Yes. And the audit report of CNAG. Now, what does it say? What should be there in the report of CNAG? It says a general review, introduction containing a general review. Then the results of the comprehensive undertakings, selected undertakings conducted by the audit board. Then the resume. Resume is nothing but the extracts of the company audit report and the results of undertaking not taken up for appraisal by the board. So point number 2 kya hai? Undertaken by the audit board, and fourth is what? Not taken up for appraisal by the audit board. and are not taken up for appraisal by the audit board. So that's the audit report of the CNAG, right? And what are the powers of CNAG in case of government company? One, to appoint the first auditor within 60 CNAG within 60 days from the date of registration of the company, and also to appoint the subsequent auditors, to appoint first auditor and subsequent auditor, then to conduct any supplementary audit and issue the supplementary audit report, and also to conduct a test audit of the accounts of the government company, right? And also to conduct a test audit of the accounts of the government company. As I'm going through that chapter, I'll just talk to you. Okay, in NBFC, very important concept is the PBA, the 50/50 test. Okay, when is an NBFC required to obtain a certificate of registration? It says an NBFC is required to obtain a certificate of registration when at least not less than 50% of its total assets are financial assets, and at least 50% of its total income is income from the financial assets, right? So at least total 50% of the total asset should be financial asset, and at least 50% of the total income should be income from the financial asset, and then it should have minimum net owned funds of 2 crore. Then it says the NBFC is required to be registered with the RBI as an NBFC, right? It is required to be registered, right? What does it say? Total assets netted off by intangible asset, right? So recently again in the MTP also there is a question, or in the RTP, regarding this one. Okay, so principal business activity of the NBFC. Okay, so let's see which is the next chapter coming up over there. Yeah, we have insurance. So some of them, yeah, one student 3 times in capital, she's written insurance, insurance, insurance. Okay, and like that, I think it will. Anyways, let's not talk anything else. Let's discuss. Right. So insurance company, one, you have to identify, okay, whether the question is regarding the general insurance company or the life insurance company. Are they asking me regarding the premium of the general insurance company, life insurance company, commission payable to the agent of the general insurance company or life insurance company? Mind you, the points are different, regarding life insurance company and the general insurance company. Okay. So like here you have the commission payable to the agent of the life insurance company, right? So one, what does it say? The commission calculation of the commission and the commission payment system, is it in sync with the premium collection system? कि जितना premium आया, accordingly the premium commission has been given. Then the completeness of the commission processing system. So when premium came, we gave the commission. Say policy got cancelled, premium was refunded. So whatever commission was paid, that also should be clawed back. So commission is clawed back on the cancelled policy, and the commission is paid within the limit prescribed under the Insurance Act, right? So commission payable to the agent of the life insurance company, and a calculation of the commission, commission payment system, commission processing system, commission is within the limit, and the commission is clawed back on the cancelled policy. Just for the comparison purpose, if I immediately come to the जनरल इंश्योरेंस कंपनी का कमीशन, right? General insurance company ka commission, what does it say? Yeah, now see, whether commission paid is within the limit, then whether commission is paid as per the rates and agreed with the agent, whether the commission has been paid for that business which that agent has solicited for the insurance company, that agent to whom the commission is paid has not been blacklisted. Then you need to check the disbursement entry with the disbursement voucher with the copies of commission bills and the commission statement, then authorization of the payment, then correctness of the amount of commission, scrutinize the agent's ledger, and the commission outgo. Why I'm showing this to you over here? Okay, points are different which you need to write for commission of a life insurance agent and for a general insurance agent. Okay, right. Anyways, we come to one or two other questions over there, right? You have the question regarding trade credit insurance, right? Trade credit insurance, it's an insurance of bad debts, right? It's an insurance of the suppliers, right? So say there is a supplier who's selling goods on credit basis, and there is a risk that the buyer to whom he pays does not pay him on the buyer to whom he sold it on credit may not pay him on the due date, right? So it's an insurance of the suppliers against the risk of non-payment of goods and services by the buyer. And why is the buyer not paying? Say the buyer has become insolvent, or certain number of days after the due date also he is not paying, or some event which is beyond the control of the buyer and the seller, right? That is why the buyer is not paying, right? So that is why the supplier, he can take a trade credit insurance. Solvency margin and excess of value of assets over the amount of liability to be maintained by insurance companies at all times, not at the end of the year, full year, at all times, which shall not be less than 50% of the minimum paid up share capital, right? So solvency margin, excess of value of asset over the amount of liability, which shall at all times, which shall not be less than 50% of the minimum paid up share capital. Okay, right? Recently a question which came in the exam, that insurance company, or it is not issuing the policy documents only. It says what happened, why policy documents have not been issued, right? So it says, why you're not giving the policy document? They say you've not paid the premium. So premium is, till the time we don't receive the premium, we are not giving the policy, right? So premium has not been collected. It has been collected, but the check has been dishonored. It has not immediately been collected due to a shortfall in the bank guarantee. Right, so it has not been collected. It has been collected, but the check got dishonored. It has been not immediately been collected due to shortfall in the bank guarantee, or it has been accrued but not received, or installments of premium have not been collected on time, or premium policies have not been issued for long period of time, or it is some premium which has been received in advance, right? Or it is some premium which is not received in advance, right? Insurance company, what does it say? When it can recognize premium income as income, unless, when it can recognize once only, unless the premium is received or is guaranteed to be paid, or the amount has been deposited, right? No risk assumption without premium, no risk to be assumed unless and until the premium is received by him or is guaranteed to be paid by such person in such manner within such time as may be prescribed, and unless and until the deposit of such amount has been made in advance, or unless it has, the deposit has been made in advance. Okay, right. Right, insurance company, mandatory joint audit for insurance company, right? Mandatory for insurance company to appoint the joint auditors. Wonderful. Let us come over here to bank audit. Okay, so now some students will be like, is this live or recorded? That is not important. What is more important? Is this relevant for your exams? Are you coming to know something which you had not studied previously? क्या फर्क पड़ता है? Okay, right. So anyways, that's your viewpoint about it. ठीक है. Okay, है ना? Interesting. So you study in full live and as a full power. No, no, no. As a properly you should be studying. Very good. You study very well. I know all of you are like, rankers and exemptions and big four articles. So all big people. Okay. All right. So now let's discuss it further over here. So interest on state government guaranteed advances, right? So that, that government guaranteed advances, it is applicable only to the central government guaranteed advances, not applicable to state government guaranteed advances. It will be treated as NPA in the normal course. Income will also be recognized on the cash basis, realization basis only. Okay, right. Then ad hoc limit has not been reviewed for 180 days from the date of the sanction. Then what does it say? Up to 180 days need not be treated as an NPA, right? So would be changed from when the is after more than 180 days, then it has to be changed into an NPA. But up to 180 days would be okay. Then NPA has been sold at higher than the net book value. What does it say? The excess provision should be reversed and the profit should also not be recognized. Okay. And the additional temporary limit has been sanctioned at 25% for 120 days. No, it is 20% for 90 days. It is 20% for 90 days. And net position has not been squared off. It says it should be squared off, right? Net position has not been squared off, right? It has to be squared off. Okay. Right. So now let's look into a few questions. An important one is there in the, like, some particular specific questions I want to show you. One is regarding that inflated deposits. What they did now in the MTP, they made a question on that one. Before I come to that deposits, whenever it will come, first we'll see this question because it was recently asked in the exam. Okay, what is the audit approach? Contingent liabilities, lot of what do you say, off balance sheet items in case of bank, that bank has given a guarantee, bank has issued letter of credit, bank has issued letter of comfort, bank has given some, bank has some partly paid up investments, and so majority, bank has a lot of off balance sheet items. So regarding these off balance sheet items of the bank, when you are doing the audit of the bank, what written representation will you take from the management? Ye question exam mein aa gaya. Okay, what written representation will you take from the management, right? So what written representation you will take from the management? That all off balance sheet. Off balance sheet माने क्या? Contingent liabilities. And all off balance sheet transactions should be accounted obviously only when the transaction takes place. So right now, will the bank have to record it? No, only when the transaction takes place, it has to be accounted for. Then accounted for only after following the due procedure. Then what does it say? It should be supported by the underlying document. So accounted only after the transaction has taken place, after following the due procedure, and it should be supported by the underlying documents. Then all year-end contingent liability should be disclosed. Then what does it say? Disclosed liability should not include any crystallized liability. क्योंकि भाई अगर crystallized है तो provision करना पड़ेगा. You cannot show it under the contingent in that case. Then whatever amount you disclose, it should be the best estimate. Even guarantees given on behalf of bank directors should be shown separately, steps to be taken. And where the possibility of outcome is remote, and once in a time possible, right? So possibility of their outcome is remote, then it says it should not be disclosed. So all these it says it should be disclosed. Point number 8, it says if the possibility of outcome is remote, then it not be disclosed, right? So recently this question has come in the exam. That's the fact I could share with you. Okay, what written representation the auditor needs to take from the management of the bank regarding the contingent liabilities of the bank. Okay. ये question which I wanted to discuss with you, which is regarding the inflated deposits over here. Inflated deposits. And a recent MCP, they've made a question on this one. Inflated deposits. That means what? Near the year end, what happened? You took a CC from the bank. Okay, you got a CC, say 1 crore from the bank. Okay, that CC, you kept it as an FD with the bank. So bank gave you a loan of 1 crore. That 1 crore loan, you kept it as an FD. And now you're telling bank, see, I've kept an FD with you. Please give me a loan against the same. Or already bank has only given you a loan. From that loan, you kept the FD, and now against the FD, you are again asking for a loan. So obviously that will lead to window dressing, correct? So that's how the question has come in the exam, in the MTP paper. The deposits of a bank are not inflated. Some customers might be given overdrafts near the balance sheet date, and the resultant overdrawn amount may be placed as deposits with bank, and further advances may be given on the strength and security of those deposits. It will lead to inflated deposits as well as the advances, right? So that's an important inflated deposits question over there, which probably you could have missed out or something. Sale purchase of NPA comes so many times. Recent also asset reconstruction company, they've sold their NPAs too. So what does it say? If a bank has to sell its NPA, one, there has to be a board policy and a board of directors policy. Then you can sell only those NPAs which have been an NPA in your books at least for 2 years. They have to be sold on cash basis without recourse. Bank will not assume any risk in respect of the NPAs once they have been sold. And bank cannot purchase an NPA which it had not purchased any NPA which it had originally sold. These are some common rules for the sale purchase of the NPA, and then some specific points for the sale of NPA and some specific points for the purchase of the NPA, right? Sale purchase of the NPA, right? Limits not reviewed, and up to 180 days, okay. More than 180 days, not okay. And in RTP number 22, there is a question of CA Prachi, and the CA Prachi says limits have not been reviewed, bank statement or stock statement has not been submitted. Your mind says, "Arey, isko to kar do substandard," and your mind says, "Ke make this substandard." But then it says no, it will continue to be classified as a standard asset. Why it will continue to be classified? Because it says the 180 days nahi hua hai ab tak. Limits not reviewed within 180 days, then it should be an NPA. Not reviewed within 180 days, then should be considered as an NPA. And stock statement up to 3 months, okay. It should not be older than 3 months. Right? So older than 3 months will be considered as irregular. Okay, wonderful. Right, substantive audit procedures. And ab yahan pe the problem is different. The challenge is that there are different questions. Okay, what is the audit approach for doing the audit of advances? So you have to find out these words in the question. Auditor is primarily concerned with obtaining evidence while doing the audit of advances. Primarily, briefly tell us which are the areas he needs to check for. So then you have to know, okay, boss, ye log ye wala question they are asking. That this is the question they are asking. Then internal controls over advances, or substantive audit procedures, or recoverability of advances. Substantive audit procedures, it says one customer, he might have taken multiple loans from the bank, right? So you need to check the master data, and there should be a single customer ID, right? Correctness of the master data, and there should be a single customer ID. And then it says you check all large advances, and so other advances you check it on a sample basis. So one, they are talking about the large advances. Then it says problem accounts, those need to be verified. Problem, like, NPA, if it is overdue for more than 90 days, say right now it is overdue for 60 days, so NPA to nahi hai na. When it's overdue for more than 90 days, it will become NPA, but right now it's overdue for 60 days, so you say very soon this will also become NPA, so it's a problem account, and which is not yet slipped into the NPA category. It's the SMA one, special mention account 1 or 2, right? So large accounts, problem accounts, adversely commented accounts by RBI internal RBI inspection team or so, restructured accounts, then also quick or early mortality account. What is a quick or early mortality account? Which became an NPA within 12 months of the date of the sanction. And also you need to check the interest being charged and also the analytical procedures, right? So those are the substantive audit procedures, right? Then what does it say for the portfolio management? Can bank be providing portfolio management services? Yes, it says it needs to maintain the separate accounts that also get it separately audited by the external auditor. So separate accounts and also to be separately audited by the external auditor. Hey, this one now is coming in the MCQ. Okay, while doing computation of the demand and time liabilities for calculating the statutory liquidity ratio, it says which of the following is to be excluded, included from the liability. So these are to be excluded and these are to be included in the liability. So they ask an MCQ, which of the following is not to be included in the liability? Listen to my question. Which of the following is not to be included in the liability? Net credit balance in branch adjustment account, borrowings from abroad by banks in India, margin held and kept in sundry deposits, and the reconciliation of nostro account. So right now it's very obvious to you that margins held, obviously it's not to be included in liability, it is to be excluded from the liability. But that's how they make the question in the exam. And thoda naam pad lo to it becomes clear. Okay, paid up capital reserve, obviously I'll include it in my liability, I'll exclude it from the liability. Part amount of recovery, it's a recovery, why to include it in liability? Amount received in Indian currency, I've received it, so why to include in liability? Unadjusted deposit, it's a deposit, so why to include it in liability? And margins held, so again it's a margin, it's a money which you have with you, so again no need to include it in, it's not the liability of the bank. So these are to be excluded and these are to be included. Net credit balance, borrowings from abroad, reconciliation of nostro account, right? These are to be included in the liability. So what, and again it says you have to check for the SLR on 12 odd dates in a year not being Fridays, right? So again there is an MCQ around this one, right? Not being the Fridays. Okay, right, so very difficult not to discuss anything with you, but yeah, yes, so this is again one area where question has not been come in the exam, key security control aspects and what information the management should share with the auditor regarding the IT system of the bank. And so जैसे वो contingent liabilities of bank, what written representation of balance sheet transaction, that question never asked before, recently asked. So similarly this question, okay, auditor, oh bank automated IT, acha, give us information regarding your IT, right? So what information regarding the IT you want of the bank, right? So it says the IT policy, the IT systems of the bank, then how they do the data processing and the data integrity, then the business continuity plan, disaster recovery plan, accounting manual and the critical accounting entries, right? So accounting manual and the critical accounting entries, then control over key aspects, controls over the internet banking products and channel, and the MIS reports and the exception based reports, right? The MIS reports and the exception based report, right? It's all works on the theory. Like we say, okay, bank audit chapter, say one question comes in exam, too rarely one comes in the 70 marks of theory, 1 or 2 marks somewhere in the MCQ. But now which could be that one question, that you will come to know before me, and you will go in the exam hall, then after you come, then I get to see the question paper. Take care, right? So special considerations in the IT environment of the bank. Okay, right, so let's come to a discussion regarding the tax audit, right? So tax audit, what we'll discuss, right? We'll discuss a few clauses. Let me now have some activity happening on the chat over there, right? Could you quickly tell me regarding, the 43B payments, if they are not, 43B payments are where certain deductions are allowed only on actual payment basis, right? Where do you do the reporting for this in Form 3CT, right? Where do you do the reporting for this 43B payments where certain deductions are allowed only on actual payment basis? Kidhar, where does the reporting happen for this one? Right, Soni ji has been asking for tax audit. Yes, so yeah. put a discussion. Hmm. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Some of the students might be like, अरे मैम का आवाज क्यों नहीं आ रहा है? मेरा आवाज नहीं आ रहा because I am waiting for your reply. They might be wondering why ma'am is not saying anything. Okay, right. So where do you report? Clause 16 is amounts not credited to P&L. Okay, 21 is amounts debited to P&L. Okay, right. So yeah, where will the reporting happen? Under clause 26. And okay, certain deductions are allowed only on the actual payment basis, right? So the payments which were outstanding at the beginning of the year, which has been paid during the year, which are outstanding at the end of the year, right? So the 43B payments, where do you do the reporting? In the form 3CD, right? Payments in excess of 10,000 being made by other than account pay, check or draft. Payments in excess of 10,000 being made by other than account pay, check or draft. Where in Caro do you do the reporting? Sorry, not Caro. Where in the form 3CD do you do the reporting for the same? Payments in excess of 10,000. Right, then also payments in excess of 2 lakh, right, through a single party for a single event or occasion, right? Where do you do the reporting for this one? In the form 3CD. Right, then also tell me that whether the assessee is liable to pay any indirect taxes and the registration number. So I'll just put the number, so you can say that for point number 2 this is the clause, for point number 3 this is the clause, point number 4 this is the clause, and then this is how we can mention, right? You can mention over there. Then demand raised or refund issued under any tax laws other than the Income Tax Act or the Wealth Tax Act. Right, again a question asked in the exam, right? Demand raised or refund issued under any tax laws other than the Income Tax Act or the Wealth Tax Act. So apart from the Income Tax Act and the Wealth Tax Act, right? So that is one more I'm asking over there. And then say maybe one more which I could be asking to you is the interest paid to the MSMED suppliers, right? The interest being paid to the MSMED suppliers. Okay, so now let me see what have you guys done over there. Okay, right. So yes, this one, payments in excess of 10,000 being made by other than account pay, check or draft, and in case of lease carriage it comes to payments in excess of 35,000, right? It comes to clause 21 of form 3CD, right? The clause 21 of form 3CD, right? Payments in excess of 2 lakh, it comes under clause 31, right? Clause 31 BC of form 3CD. So you need to check whether it is in cash or it is made by check, which is other than account pay, check or draft, right? Then indirect tax registration number, it is clause 4, whether the assessee is liable to pay any indirect taxes. So the GST registration number or any other identification number allotted for the same, right? Demand raised or refund issued, that comes under clause 41, right? Demand raised or refund issued under any tax laws other than the Income Tax Act or the Wealth Tax Act. And MSME, yes, the interest paid to MSMED suppliers, that comes under the clause 22. Right, that comes under the clause 22, right? The interest being paid to the MSMED suppliers, not allowed as a deduction under the income tax law, right? Not allowed as a deduction under the income tax law, right? ICDS, income computation and disclosure standards, where do you do the reporting? In the form 3CD. For income computation disclosure standards, where do you do the reporting? In the form 3CD. Yes, you do the reporting under clause 13, D, E, and F, right? Clause 13, whether any adjustment is required to be made for compliance with the ICDS, then the details of the adjustment and the disclosures as per the ICDS, right? And the disclosures as per the ICDS. Okay, right. So now say there is a case study in the exam regarding these tax audit clauses. Okay, any of the clauses of tax audit or so, right? So first, what do you write down in your answer? Okay, reporting requirements under clause dash of form 3CD, which is the clause, and then you need to write as per clause, whichever clause 4 say of form 3CD, right? The tax auditor is required to report whether the assessee is liable to pay any indirect taxes, right? So all your answers starting with as per, and you write down the provision over there. Then again you need to write down the audit procedures. Okay, as an auditor, what checking, how will you check for the indirect taxes, what audit procedure shall you perform? Then after that you come to in the given case, and then you come to conclusion, right? In the given case, and therefore the tax auditor is required to report, therefore the tax auditor is not required to report, therefore the contention of the management is tenable, the contention of the management is not tenable, right? Accordingly you need to mention it in the answer, right? Accordingly you need to mention it in the answer. Okay, right? Recently there has been a question regarding the clause 42 of form 3CD. What is clause 42 of form 3CD? Whether the assessee is liable to furnish a statement under 61, 61A, yes, form 61, 61A or the 61B. Right, 61 it says it is regarding the when you've received the declaration in form or declaration in form 60, or if you've entered into specified financial transactions, or 61B is regarding the FATCA, that is the Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act, right? So this is the question I'm talking about, right? The clause 42 of form 3CD, right? So form 61 where the other party does not have a PAN, right? So they give a declaration in form 60, so you are receiver of form 60 has to file form 61. Then 61A, it is regarding the specified financial transactions like buyback or so which exceeds 10 lakh or so, right? That is regarding 61A. And then you also have 61B, which is regarding the FATCA, the Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act, and you have to report income tax report, identification number, type of form, 61, 61A, 61B, what was the due date of furnishing, what was the actual date of furnishing, then whether the form contained all the detail, and if it did not contain the detail, then which are the transactions which need to be reported over here, right? So that was one question regarding the clause 42. Then clause 41, demand raised or refund issued under any tax laws, and a demand raised or refund issued under any tax laws other than the Income Tax Act or the Wealth Tax Act, right? So again you write down the procedures and then the conclusion. So the tax auditor needs to report in the format given below. Okay, right. Then after that there is a yes, clause 11 and 35 comes together, because 11 is regarding books of account and 35 is regarding the quantitative details in case of a trading concern and in case of a manufacturing concern, right? Super favorite question of ICAI, right? So this is before I come to that super favorite question, this receipts and payments in excess of 2 lakh for a single event or occasion, right? So KK is a contractor dealing in food, catering, flower decoration, and 1,85,000 for food catering and 1,25,000 for flower decoration. So it says 269 ST. So makes sense for you to make reference to the income tax law sections over here. Receives the sum of 2 lakh or more in aggregate from a person in a day in respect of a single transaction or relating to a event or occasion from a person otherwise than an account pay check or account pay draft or the ECS, right? The tax auditor has the responsibility to verify the compliance. And then you have the clause 31BA, you write down the content and in the given case, and therefore the tax auditor is required to report the same in compliance with clause 31BA of form 3CD. Right, I was mentioning about that payments in excess of 10,000 being made by other than account pay check or draft, right? So these are those questions, right? So here it's goods carried, so that is why it is going to be payments in excess of 35,000, and then it says 6 invoices each and made in cash, but it's not exceeding 35,000. 2 invoices and a Y on 5th July and 6th July. So payment to a person in a day is not exceeding 35,000, and your payment of 40,000 made in cash. So here it is exceeding. So it says the details of such amount need to be furnished under clause 21DB of form 3CD, right? 21DB of form 3CD. Right, so an income computation disclosure standards which assessees have to what does it say? While calculating which income do you need to follow them? While calculating your income from the PGBP, the profits and gains from business or profession, and the income from the other services, and to be followed only by those assessees who are following the mercantile system of accounting and not by those who are following the cash system of the accounting. Right, and again where the reporting happens for ICDS under clause 13 DEF, right? So PGBP, IOS, and those which are following the mercantile and not to be followed by those who are following the cash system of the accounting, right? Then what is the applicability of tax audit? You have 1 crore and 50 lakh, and if more than 95% of the receipts and payments are through the banking channel, then what is the limit for the applicability of tax audit? 10 crore. But this is only applicable for assessees in business. It is not applicable for assessees who are in the profession. If you look into your RTP November 22, and I told you the CA Prachika question, no, where it says still it is standard asset only. Billy Moria partnership firm is engaged in providing engineering consultancy services to insurance corporate, and then that give the entire revenue, and then they say, one of the partner of the firm says that due to change in income tax law, their firm is not liable for tax audit under section 44AB. How would you deal with the matter is the contention of the partner in accordance with the law, right? So now that, and they are given the details of how much of payments have been done, cash expenditure and cash receipts, and they are saying that it is less than 5%. So one, you might think, oh yes, then that 95% receipts and payment, that condition is being fulfilled. No, but that is available only for assessees who are in the business and not available for the assessees who are in the profession, right? So it says 10 crore in following cases, but it says that in case of profession it will be 50 lakh. Is not available for persons engaged in the professional activities. Okay, right. Free look cancellation, again that's a question from insurance company. I'm just taking a diversion from your tax audit over here, but that's a question regarding the free look cancellation over here. And in case of life insurance company, and okay, you applied for an LIC policy and then you got that LIC policy, and after you receive the policy documents you say, no, I want better insurance coverage. Okay, this is not acceptable to me. So that is why the policy holder has an option to return the policy within 15 days if he does not agree with the terms and conditions in the policy. That is called as the free look cancellation. The insurer shall inform by the letter forwarding the policy that he has a period of 15 days from the date of receipt of the policy document to review the terms and conditions of the policy, and when the insured disagrees to any of these terms and conditions, he has the option to return the policy, stating the reasons for his objection, and he shall be entitled to a refund for the same. Right? So that's the concept over there of the free look cancellation. Because I just crossed by it, I thought let me just quickly discuss with you. And then there is one more question which I just crossed by, so just let us see that one. I know, okay, so much of the debtors not getting information, so much of the inventory not getting information, so much information not getting disclaimer, and we are not in a position and we do not express an opinion, and then you actually have to do the drafting. So in case students, if you've not looked into the drafting of the emphasis of matter, key audit matter, other matter, and this qualified adverse and disclaimer, whatever book you have and whatever questions you have of the 700 series, kindly go through them, because certainly a question comes in the exam. Right, so like over here, disclaimer. We do not express an opinion on the financial statements. What happened? You say, because of the significance of the matters described in the basis for disclaimer of opinion section, we have not been able to obtain sufficient appropriate evidence to provide a basis for our audit opinion. And then you say, because of the matter. So what is the matter? That matter, now you'll write it in the basis for disclaimer of opinion. We are unable to obtain confirmation with respect to debtors. Right, then we are unable to obtain the evidence regarding the inventory. The management has not undertaken physical verification of inventory at periodic interval. The company has not maintained adequate inventory records at the factory. We are unable to undertake the physical inventory count, and as such the value of inventory could not be verified. Right, so you're giving the reasons. Okay, what happened? Why are you giving a disclaimer of the opinion? Right, why auditor is issuing a disclaimer of the opinion? Okay, right, so that's regarding the applicability, the ICDS, and a brief revision over there. Right, so let's come to the conclusion part. Let's just have a quick look at forensic audit and a few questions regarding standards, and then finish. And now for me, I'm finishing. For you, the show has now started. Am I right? You say, ma'am, you're always right. Oh, so that's nice. Okay. Yeah, drafting requires exact wording to a great extent. Better that you're becoming a chartered accountant, that you know how to draft qualified adverse disclaimer. You say, ma'am, practical life, I've never seen any report other than an unmodified opinion. No, but then you should know it. ठीक है? Chalo, forensic audit we'll study. Right, so forensic, which can be used as an evidence in the courts of law. which can be used as an evidence in the courts of law, right? So it's like a legal evidence. We talk about persuasive evidence, conclusive evidence. This is like legal evidence which can be used as evidence in the court of law. It says making use of your financial skills and investigative mentality. Arey kya mast likhte hai. How beautifully they write. What do they write? It is the use of the financial skills and the investigative mentality, right? Financial skills and the investigative mentality. Auditing, accounting, and investigative skills to assist in legal matters, right? Then you have the distinguish between other audits and forensic audit. So other audits are mainly a stat audit, true and fair audit, and this is your forensic audit, right? So other audits, mandatory, voluntary, here it's in response to an event. Other audits, true and fair, here fraud hua hai ya nahi, whether fraud has taken place. Other audits, checking TOC, substantive, right? So you go for substantive and compliance testing. How much checking you do depends on the effectiveness of control. Your forensic audit, investigative, substantive, in-depth checking, even immaterial transactions you check in detail, right? Even immaterial transactions you check in detail. Other audits generally for a particular period. Here, no such limitation, right? Other audits, what do you say? You rely on management representation. Here, nothing. Independent verification. Other audits, you check for arithmetical accuracy and compliance with procedures and all. Forensic audit, regulatory and propriety. How come? You get into the propriety of the transaction, right? You get into the propriety. Other audits, if you have a finding, you can give a negative or a qualified opinion. Here, you directly knock the doors of law, right? Legal determination of the fraud and legal determination of fraud. Other audits, professional skepticism, forensic audit, investigative mentality, right? Investigative mentality. Okay. It's services rendered by forensic auditor. Again, there in RTP number 22, right? Services rendered. Okay. Forensic auditor. When I read this, I think as if the forensic auditor, he's like an advocate. An advocate, why? Because, say he says, this is the question we will ask. Then if they ask us this question, this is the reply we will give. So crafting question, responding to question. Then from where will you get these responses? So identifying the document, identifying the individual. Now how to identify document and individual? For that, doing research. And once you do the research, whatever evidence you get, identifying and preserving the key evidence. Then evaluating the produced documentation, the produced records, and still not able to win the case. So identify alternative means and questions for deposition and cross-examination. So dishum, fighting in the court of law. Don't write an exam, dishum. Okay, we'll come to know one day before exam which class you listen to. So, no. You're also laughing with me. If you laugh, it will be good for you. Okay, right. The services rendered by the forensic auditor. Okay, what are these services were being rendered, right? So it's more like an advocate. What they did in MCQ, they asked which of the following is not a characteristic of forensic auditor? Which of the following is not a characteristic of forensic auditor? Curiosity, persistence, I'm just creating an example, creativity, and criminology. Now, it is criminology. But now, exam mein to you think, my God, characteristic of skill, what is it that they want to ask? And so, which of the following is not a characteristic of the auditor? Criminology is not a characteristic. Criminology is a skill of the forensic auditor. Okay. Right, then services rendered by forensic auditor, process of forensic accounting. Process, accounting, auditing, investigation, all means the same. Forensic accounting, auditing, investigation, it all means the same. And so how does it start? Initialization. Okay, what is the real motive, purpose, utility of the assignment? A forensic auditor, suit, boot, like what you see that the legal suits and the legal firms and all the corporate boutiques and CA firms which you see nowadays, right? So real motive, purpose, utility, right? Then nowadays, if you see movies also, you see over there forensic word being used everywhere, right? So anyways, no movies for you right now, right? So initialization, so that's the real motive. Then once you know your motive, you prepare your plan. Based on the plan, you obtain the evidence. Based on the evidence, you perform the analysis. Based on the analysis, you do the reporting, and based on the reporting, you go to the court of law. And based on the reporting, you go to the court of law. Now, in the exam, they have asked retail question on perform analysis. How to perform analysis? You have to calculate. है ना? तो जो भी evidence मिला है, उसका you have to do full analysis of that evidence. Calculate the economic damages. Summarize large number of transactions. Perform a tracing of assets. Present value calculation using discount rate. Regression sensitivity analysis. You say, ma'am, it's getting too complicated, this forensic audit analysis. It says use spreadsheet. Use charts and graphics to explain the analysis. right? So how to perform the analysis has been asked as a question in your exams. Right, then another one which has been asked as a question is like, now forensic auditor audit is over, now issue the report. So issuing an audit report is the final step of the audit. Auditor will include information detailing the fraudulent activity, right? The client will expect a report which contains the findings, summary of evidence, and like, why I'm reading this, there is a reason behind it, a conclusion as to the amount of loss suffered as a result of the fraud, and to identify those involved in the fraud. They made an MCQ on this one. Whatever pink I have highlighted over here, they made an MCQ on that one. To identify those who are involved in the fraud. Okay, forensic auditor has finished doing his forensic audit and now he wants to mention the names of the fraudsters in his report. You say, I don't know the name of fraudster. Can it be given in the report? Not given in the report. What to do? Likha hai. You say, ma'am, no, who reads like this? That's what I'm telling you. You only read. Who will read for you? Okay, right. So to identify those involved in the fraud. So when I also read that question, I remembered, okay, I had read this. Okay, it had given, okay, to identify those involved in the fraud, how the fraudster set up the fraud scheme. And oh, aage aata hai, dekho ye story. The report will discuss how the fraudster set up the fraud scheme, which controls were circumvented, not followed. It is also likely that the investigative team will recommend improvement to controls within the organization. The forensic auditor should have active listening skills, and its report should be based on facts and not on the opinion of the person writing the report. And ये investigation में भी आता है कि report, should it be based on facts or opinion? No, report has to be based on facts and not on the opinion of the person writing the report. ठीक है. Okay, आगे बढ़ते हैं. Technology based digital forensic techniques, again a question asked in your exam, and a technology based. So these are questions which have recently come in the exams, expected that a few more times they should be coming in the exam. And to technology based digital forensic techniques, and also it says, okay, you have to do the forensic audit. It says you can check the phone log, and you can check the hard disk, and so where's my, okay, you can check the hard disk, you can check the email, and so when you're doing all these type of checking, what is that? That is technology based digital forensic. So it says every transaction leaves a digital footprint in today's computer driven society. So what is the digital footprint? It says close scrutiny of email, accounting record, phone log, and hard disk is a requisite facet of any modern forensic audit. But can you just like simply go and check somebody's phone log or check somebody's hard disk or somebody's email? It says no, but you have to take the legal advice, as it could lead to invasion of the privacy. Then now, can you hack a computer or can you do the ethical hacking? No, you might require the trained digital investigators. And nowadays there are a lot of open digital tools which are available, right? These are the only points which you need to write in your exam if a question comes regarding technology based digital forensic techniques, right? What does it say? Every transaction leaves a digital footprint. Then close scrutiny of email, phone log, hard disk, and all of that. Legal advice, as it could amount to invasion of the privacy. Then you can take the assistance of trained digital investigators, and there are a lot of open source digital forensic tools which are available. Okay, right. Then data mining. Again, a question asked in your exam. So it says that automatically mines large volume of data to find out 3 new, hidden, or unexpected information. Right. So you just do the filtering, put the pivot, and run the pivot on the Excel, and automatically something comes out without having without having a predefined idea or hypothesis. So new, hidden, or unexpected information. And what are the ways in which you could do data mining? Discovery, predictive modeling, and the deviation and link analysis. Right? It finds the pattern without having a predefined idea, without the knowledge of any fraud. So you never thought that there might be. Based on the output, you come to know. And it looks into the affinities, associations, trends, and variations in the form of conditional logic. Right? So again, very important one over there regarding the data mining techniques. Right? Data mining techniques. Right? So that's a quick one from our side regarding the forensic audit. Right, nowadays a question coming always coming in the exam regarding SA 570. So let's just take two to conclude, like say SA 570 and a 250 over there. Right, SA 570, which is regarding the going concern, right, a fundamental accounting assumption used in the preparation of the financial statements, and probably we can make our discussion more relevant by linking it to one question. Let me just Right. So if you see, this is a combination of 250 as well as SA 570 also coming in this particular question. So let's just have a look at this question over here. Hmm? Right. So what does the question say? Abhinandan Limited, right? So in the exams, you have to be very quick in reading. You cannot delete reading. You cannot delete, because sometimes after, like, you come towards the end of the question, you think, oh, I need to read the question entirely. So do a quick reading and come towards the end. And if required, then you go to the detailed reading again. Right. Abhinandan Limited, a chemical manufacturing company having office for appointed as their auditor. During the course of audit, the auditor's notice, Abhinandan received a show cause notice from the NGT based on investigation performed by Forest Department for violating environmental law. So some law does not comply. Upon gathering further understanding of the matter, it is identified that dumping of and that was doing dumping of toxic solid waste without treating it. Based on the preliminary investigation performed by the Forest Department under the directions of NGT, it was identified that these practices were carried out since 2009 and a lot of damage has been done to the environment. A show cause notice, now contingent liability provision, was already issued to Abhinandan for levying the penalty of 500 crore. The unaudited profit of the company was 35 crore and unaudited turnover is 100 crore and penalty is 500 crore. Wiped off the company will get if it actually has to pay the amount. Upon inquiry, it was identified that Abhinandan had disclosed the matter in financial statements, and the extract of which is given below. In light of the above scenario, kindly provide what would be the appropriate option for the statutory auditor of the company to report in this matter. Right. So one, as per SA 250, this is a matter of laws and regulation and a consideration of laws and regulations in an audit of financial statements, right? And these are other laws and regulations, because it's an environmental law which may have a material effect on the financial statements in case of non-compliance. Like, say, Income Tax Act, it always has an effect, so that's a direct law, but environmental law does not always have an effect, but if a penalty comes, it may have a material effect. So for other laws, what are the other audit procedures to be performed by the auditor? Inquiries of management and inspecting correspondence with the regulatory authority. So to check compliance with the to check compliances or to identify instances of non-compliance with other laws and regulation, what are the audit procedures to be performed? Inquiries of management, TCWG, and inspecting the correspondence. Look at the beauty of the answer, 143.3J. What is 143.3? Duty to report on additional matters. What is the J? Such other matters as may be prescribed. And 143.3J. Such other matters as may be prescribed, in which you have pending litigation, material foreseeable losses, delay in transferring amount to investor education protection fund. D has been omitted. It was regarding the specified bank notes. E, whether any funds have been received, whether any funds have been advanced. Right? F, dividend paid declared, whether it is in compliance with section 123, and whether the company has used an accounting software which has an audit trail feature which has operated during the year, has not been tampered with, and it has been preserved as per the statutory requirements for record retention. Right. So anyways, what is the first point? Pending litigation. So that is why they say the auditor is required to report whether the company has disclosed the impact of any of the pending litigation on the financial position in its financial statement. Then, so first 250, then after that 143.3J, then coming to SA 570, going concern. अब going concern का कैसा है कि one, you need to check whether going concern assumption is appropriate or whether it is inappropriate. If it is appropriate but the material uncertainty exists, but there is a material uncertainty, and adequate disclosures have been made in the financial statements. Adequate disclosures have been made by the management in the financial statements. Then you issue an unmodified opinion with the material uncertainty related to going concern para. If adequate, there is a material uncertainty, but adequate disclosures are there in financial statements, then you issue unmodified with a material uncertainty related to going concern para. Say adequate disclosures are not there in the financial statements, then you issue a qualified or an adverse opinion. And say going concern assumption is not appropriate, it is inappropriate. In that case, you straight away issue an adverse opinion, right? You straight away issue an adverse opinion, right? So you need to check whether adequate disclosures have been made in financial statements or whether adequate disclosures have not been made in the financial statements. If disclosures, there is uncertainty, disclosures have been made, the adequate, then unmodified with material uncertainty related to going concern para. There is uncertainty, adequate disclosure bhi nahi hai, so then qualified qualified or adverse. And if his assumption itself is inappropriate, then it says you have to issue an adverse opinion. Right. So what does it say? If there is a material uncertainty exists, then the adequately disclose the events or conditions and disclose clearly that there is a material uncertainty. Right. However, if adequate disclosure about the material uncertainty is not made in the financial statements, are sun lo. Are you listening to me? If adequate disclosure about the material uncertainty is not made in the financial statements, the auditor shall express a qualified or an adverse opinion, and in that para they will mention that there is a material uncertainty. What I discussed with you over here, कि adequate disclosures are not made, then qualified or adverse opinion, है ना. तो ये तो पूरा theory है, मतलब the theory, the provisional part in the answer. Now coming to in the current scenario or in the given case, Abhinandan, whatever happened, and in the event of an unfavorable order of Abhinandan Limited, there will be an impact of the on the Abhinandan's limited ability to continue as a going concern. As a result, appropriate disclosure should be provided by management for such events which cast a significant doubt on the entity's ability to continue as a going concern. As no appropriate disclosure has been provided by Abhinandan for such show cause notice, Subahu and company should report this matter under going concern 143(3)(j), that pending litigation, and also is required to issue an adverse opinion, because profit is how much? 35 crore or something, and or penalty is 500 crore, right? So it says adverse opinion as per SA 705, modifications to the opinion in the independent auditor's report. Okay, right? So that's an important case study. Lot of questions come in the exam from SA 570 nowadays, also from SA 250, right? My closing remarks and advice to you would be that please look into a few question answers the way we saw right now. You know whatever content theory you've been studying for last few months, last few weeks or so, for last year or whatever. So you have a lot of content, but now that whatever content, how presentation, how interlinking of points, how time management, try to write more answers rather than writing few answers in a more elaborate manner. Try to have more coverage of your paper, try to increase your speed in writing the answers right from the first answer, rather than first being like a snail and then running like a hare later on, like just being quick and having last minute rush, right? So you could avoid that. So I thank you very much that such precious time of yours you gave me, and you provided me an opportunity that I could do a revision. I hope that the revision has been beneficial, or some sort of benefit for all of you. So yeah, thank you so much, and I wish you all the very best for your exams. Thank you so much once again. Yes, have a great day.